Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 38. My name is Red, I'm joined by Mel.
Catch me pogging amongst the stars.
Yeah, and I'm joined by Razen.
Red, who's the smell person at the door?
I have no idea.
What? No. No.
I think
maybe she's got the wrong apartment.
Yeah, I think it's the podcast next door I think you're looking for. Common mistake.
Oh. Is this the one about Ultraman?
Yeah. So, coming up on today's episode, we've got the return of the captain as a drunk man. We have also the finale of Ultraseven, a two-parter, and goddamn,
Also,
it goes kind of hard.
Some cutting room floor stuff.
Some cutting room floor stuff. Cool. Yes, we do. I just remember I watched that like an hour ago.
I was gonna be concerned if he didn't watch it.
I'm gonna be honest, it totally slipped my mind. Fuck.
You know, it's 5 minutes. You can do it while Red's talking about whatever they've done this week.
That's true.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Okay.
However, we are keeping this in so you can live in shame.
Yeah. This is fine.
God damn. Mal would be proud. Alright. So, before we get into any Ultraseven, so, my issue... Okay, I can talk about a video game a little bit, and then I've got a thing that, like, 2 paragraphs that I wrote a few weeks ago about a book that I finished.
Okay.
And
as long as you go longer than 5 minutes.
I will go longer. Okay. I'm talking about the video game because I need to go longer than 5 minutes. So I have been replaying, and replaying is maybe a strong word because I played this game a long time ago, and then I played it recently for like a few levels and then stopped. But I am replaying Thief Gold. The original Thief game. Well, the original Thief game is Thief the Dark Project, but the version available on like GOG that I've owned for years now is Thief Gold, which has some extra levels added in. Let me tell you, I got to the first one of those extra levels recently. It wasn't good. It wasn't very good.
Let's go.
That seems like I feel like that might be a trend where it's just like sometimes the new content is just not.
It was the thing where they fit it into the game, but it's clearly a level made for people who have beaten Thief. It's way too big. It's so involved, and it pings you like back and forth between these huge spaces, and like it's a lot harder than the other levels, to be honest. Just like the patrol routes that guards take, and the fact that the guards pair up on patrol, which is it's very bizarre. Anyway, for people who don't know what Thief is,
I would say that's a pretty sensible thing for guards to do. But what do I know?
It's a pretty sensible thing for guards to do. There's a lot of things that guards don't do that would be very sensible in real life in Thief the Dark Project. So the thing about Thief the Dark Project is it's a stealth game. It's a first-person stealth game from like 98, 99, something like that.
Like 98, yeah.
The peak years of like the immersive sim, like We're thinking about systems while you're sneaking around places and tackling levels from multiple routes.
Think about systems, and if they overwhelm you, you might be in for a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. This game, Thief, is nowhere near like as immersive sim as a lot of immersive sims is the thing. I would first and foremost describe it as a stealth game. You can't fight in this game. You can't fucking do that. You can't be fighting guards. They have more health than you. They're better at sword fighting than you. They kill you really quickly. And you have a bow and arrow. So you can kill people with bows and stuff, but like it's sneaking. You have to hit people in the back. That does way more damage. Also, anything above like the normal difficulty tends to have like a little addendum on it that's like, you're a professional. Don't leave bodies. Don't do that. Don't kill people. You're here to rob them. What are you doing murdering people? The blackjack is your friend. The blackjack, your little club. You just hit people in the back of the head. Thunk. They go down in one hit. And you drag the body away. Thief. Fantastic video game. The vibe is incredible. I urge everyone to go look up the intro to Thief.
It's so good.
It's so fucking good. The OST is not what you're expecting for a medieval stealth game with some like Dishonored is very clearly like riffing on Thief stuff. But Dishonored is way less cool. Dishonored is, I get you have all these magical powers and stuff, and it's like, you know, you have like all these different ways that you can play the game, and I'm just like, Garrett is the coolest motherfucker in the world, because he's this, when people talk about like scoundrel characters, they always like have like a heart of gold. Garrett's fence dies in prison, and Garrett's like, he owed me money. I went to go rescue him from prison. He owed me money. I spent months being pissed at him for dying and not paying me. Garrett sucks. He's great. He's a great time. And the like cutscenes between missions are so evocative. They're so much cooler than anything in other video games. And I think there's like a characterization on like, these are all the ideas that have been played out in immersive sims and stealth games forever now. People leaving like notes around that reveal secrets about how to get around the space that you're in. The difference is, first of all, the levels in Thief are amazing. So good. There's a simplicity to your tool set that means that the highlight is the levels. A lot, in Dishonored, right? It's all about like you get like options,
the
right?
powers.
You get the powers, and you get all these like people have to think out ways that these work in all these different scenarios, and it's like if you pare that down to like a very simple tool set, you can be much less multiple choice about how you design levels, which is what it feels like in Dishonored sometimes. It's like, well, if you invested money in the ability that you can turn into an animal, right? You can turn into a fish, then, pick the option that is use the fish to go through a grate, right? Dishonored's a weird game. I do like Dishonored. I don't want to talk shit about Dishonored. But the Thief is it's just better. And it's part of the paring it down to this very simple tool set of if you stay, you have a little gem at the bottom of your screen that reveals, how in darkness you are.
That part always seemed cool to me.
It's very cool. It's very cool because you can. There's great moments where it's very good. It really makes you feel like you're some kind of ridiculous stealth master because it's like you're standing in the fucking open, but because your gem is like jet black, it's like I'm in the shadows and I literally can't be seen unless someone bumps into me. And finding like the paths that shadows cast across rooms is fantastic. There's like, this is maybe one of the reasons I didn't like one of the added levels that I played. I played the Thief's Guild level. It wasn't good. And one of the frustrations of it was there was some weird inconsistency about how dark the shadows were on the floor versus how visible I was that I didn't like. I felt was very shoddy. Just working your way through a building and like creating paths for yourself by knocking out select guards, using water arrows and stuff. It's like at the end of every, at the beginning of every mission, the money that you stole from last mission is your budget for equipment that you buy. So you've got rope arrows that literally stick into any wooden surface. You've got water arrows which put out torches but don't put out electric lights. There's electricity in Thief because it's got some again, this is one of the ways that it's way cooler than Dishonored because I would not describe Thief as a steampunk game necessarily, but it has some steampunky stuff in terms of the technology available to like rich people and certain factions of the game.
Thief is, when I think of the very specific genre of like Thief, but also kind of Blades in the Dark, like I've
Yes.
heard the term like gas lamp fantasy used a lot, and I think that's like a very oddly specific, but like it's that time, but like the steampunk stuff isn't really there, and I think it works a lot.
Yeah. It's not people walking around in top hats. It's not Victorian London. It is a medieval city with I think the setting's really good just in terms of the like ways that they characterize that, like, the hammers and is a very good like religious order. I think it's cool. It's got some like D&D vibes in terms of like a DM has created this weird religion, and it's just, it's Catholicism, and they've the builder, and they've written out all these little snippets of scripture that they give to you between missions. It's kind of cute, it's kind of adorable, and I like it a lot. Thief, long time theoretically one of my favorite games, but I was a tiny child when I first played it, and was too scared of zombies. And then last time I played it, I didn't actually get very far through it. Turns out, zombies aren't as fast as you. You can just outrun them.
See, Thief is one of the many games I played during my I'm a broke child with no money, so I'm just gonna download a bunch of shit from abandonware sites era.
Mm-hmm.
So I have not played Thief in a hot minute either, and in fact, I don't even know if I played Gold or not. I want to say probably not even. But yeah, I'm also now realizing I had the same experience with Thief and Dishonored that I feel like is very funny and very telling about like both series, in which I played the first game, liked it a lot, started 2, never got around to it, and have spent the rest of my life going, damn, I should really get back to 2 someday. I bet I'd love it a lot.
Mm-hmm. I've got the trilogy on GOG, so I will be playing the rest. But Thief it's been a long time coming, because again, this was like one of my early like favorite games, but also all I was doing was playing the tutorial and the first mission over and over again because I hated zombies. I was a small child.
I get it. I need to play a Thief one day.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. Confessions. I've never really played an FPS game.
Oh wow.
Damn.
That'll be an interesting first FPS game.
Because like I played a bit of like the original Doom, and I played a bit of I played like half an hour maybe of like GoldenEye and Quake 3. And so I don't get first person controls.
Damn.
Damn. Well, it's mouse and keyboard, so I would say there's less to learn than if it was on controller.
The thing is, I've never really played a game on mouse and keyboard. That's the thing.
Oh.
Not often. Not with like first person.
Never mind.
So,
Never mind.
Like when I was like, hey, I want to try Quake 3. That seems neat. And with my friend who's like experienced with like that era of shooters.
Oh no!
I spent most of the time running into a wall because I don't know how to turn around and move.
Oh damn! This is like when I told a friend he should because I told a friend I was getting back into Age of Empires 2, and he was like, oh, that's just available on Steam. I should get that, and he got it. And then he started messaging me about how like talking like because he works in game dev, and he was like talking with like great interest about the ways that you select units and move them around. And I'm like, have you never played a real-time strategy game before? And he's like, no. So I was like, oh fuck.
I mean, to be clear, I also haven't done that much besides Pikmin. I haven't done a lot of PC gaming. That's the thing. Like,
no, it makes sense.
And most of the PC games I played are like things you could get on console anyway, like platformers and action games. So
yeah.
So the sort of like genres that like the PC is known for and kind of built for that like I just have little experience with.
Mel,
so, like,
I think the easiest way to ingratiate yourself to first-person controls is to play Kingsfield on the PS1.
I am not going to do that.
You don't want to hit L2 or R2 to look up or down?
Oh, it's an Armored Core. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget?
I remember when I told Mel about the Armored Core controls, and Rang went, what? I go, what?
Listen, you just need to remember, up and round. Like a normal human being.
Just remap them. Put forward and backwards on the car controls. Put it like it's a racing game, and then put looking around on the D-pad, and then Armored Core makes perfect sense.
You are the second person who has told me to try this out because it makes the game way better, and I'm like, I should probably have done that at some point, but I'm too used to the old way of doing things now.
On the one hand, you should. On the other hand, though, you should get used to the old way of doing things because it means that when you switch games, you don't have to play the tutorial for the next game. Like, oh shit, it's the old controls. I booted up Armored Core 2 and was like, no, give me an option to change the controls before I play the game, please. Oh no. I had to play the tutorial like it was my first time playing an Armored Core game. I was like, oh shit. All right, well, that's my video game. I've been playing Thief. I wasn't going to talk about it because I haven't finished it, but I've given Razin some time. Now
I finished the thing.
I have I have my thing. A couple of weeks ago, I almost got you two to read this out loud, and I was like, I'm just going to read it myself. I finished that third Horus Heresy book that I said was really bad. I switched over to audiobook. I was like, I just listened to it. I was like, I finished it, and I almost posted like a review somewhere. It was like 2 paragraphs. I was so mad. So instead of posting it somewhere where people can read it, I decided I'm just gonna read this out loud. So this is my review of Galaxy in Flames by Ben Counter, the third novel in the Horus Heresy series. This is the kind of novel I dreamed of writing when I was 12. Derogatory. As the dramatic conclusion to 2 previous novels, Galaxy in Flames is strangely lacking in drama. Instead, the book mainly ticks boxes, making sure it pays off everything set up in the first 2 books in a mechanical fashion. The only idea it really drives at is some completely credulous stuff about how the Crusade used to stand for something, and we've lost our way, etc., etc. I find it an absurd idea ideologically, but also it's an absurd idea narratively, because this is supposed to be the follow-up to False Gods, a book which was mainly about how this whole heresy thing is actually a pretty fucking short fall from grace when grace means galaxy-wide genocidal conquest by petty ambitious men competing for daddy's affection. Ben Counter just completely ignores the ideas of the second book to a degree so outrageous its like would not be seen again until J.J. Abrams got his hands on Star Wars. I suppose anything more lucid than "we have forgotten the old ways" would get in the way of this book's true purpose, to sufficiently jerk off all the coolest space marines. This is the most embarrassing book I've read since morbid curiosity propelled me through the self-published sci-fi novel of a guy who has an anime reaction channel on YouTube. If I ever have to read the word perfection again, I'm going to kill myself. 2 stars.
I think you should publish this somewhere.
I think, Red, I think you just convinced me to do NaNoWriMo this year.
I hated this book so much.
I got nothing to lose.
I hated this book so much. It was so bad. It was written by a child. I was so embarrassed. Oh my god. You know what's hilarious? I keep going back. I'm still listening to more 40k novels.
Jeez, oh no. Red, I'm worried.
It's alright.
Shouldn't you have learned?
I need something in my ears when I'm just walking about. It's fine.
There are better books.
Yeah, I know, but like
you can listen to Dune.
Yeah, I know, but I want to pay attention.
Which I mean, has its own baggage, but
yeah, but I want to pay attention to Dune. I want to, for these books are like I can miss a couple of paragraphs and not rewind. I'm fine. This book was genuinely so terrible. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, yeah, that's me. If I ever have to hear about Saul Tarvitz again, Jesus fucking Christ. This book thinks it has guys. It does not have guys. It doesn't have fucking guys. The guys it did have, that it was provided by the last book, it just ignores. It's just like, can't be bothered. Don't care. Fuck.
It's a crime.
The last book had problems. The second book had problems that I was like, I think the fall is a little too much of Erebus's trick. But it's still got something there. And then I was like, maybe this third book can focus in on the stuff that's in. But no, it's just pointless. Stupid book. Anyway, I should probably get back to Elric. But also I have another series of books that I want to be reading. That I'm not going to talk about yet because if for reasons that may if I get to talk about them, it's the moment where I reveal that I've read the books is going to be funny. Yeah, that's me this week. What's up? Who's up?
Me, according to new canon order.
Listen, it's just the formalization of what we've been doing since the start.
No, but I like calling it the new canon order. I don't have too much to talk about just because I had a deadline and then also I was helping a friend move. But there were a few things I was able to check out that I can talk about. One of them is I read the first 2 chapters of a manga that was highly recommended to me by a friend, which is Frieren.
Well, what a coincidence, because I watched a bunch of the anime this week.
Oh, cool. Okay, you are probably ahead of where I'm at, I'm going to assume, because I only got 2 chapters in.
I'll just use this I was thinking of to talk about it today, so if you're going to talk about it anyway, I'm going to leech onto your discussion.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is about a elf mage who was part of the stereotypical JRPG, like, adventuring party that saved the world. But it's not the story about them saving the world. It starts with them coming back on their victory lap and getting awarded and talking about, like, oh, damn, now we have to just go on and live our lives. But because she's an elf, she doesn't really age, or she ages really slowly. Not sure exactly which one they're doing yet. So there's a massive time, like, there are massive time jumps where it goes from them deciding what they want to do to their lives to the hero dies because, you know, he just got too old, and the rest of them meet up at his funeral, and everyone else is old, and they're just kind of reminiscing on the fact that for Frieren, like, that whole adventure that was, like, life and it sounds like world defining for everyone else around her, was just, like, kind of a week for her.
Yeah, I think the, not to get too far ahead, but I think the thing they say is, like, later on is, like, that was, like, 10% of her life, because she's, like, over, like, 100 at this point, and meanwhile everyone else is, like, had an entire lifespan within that time.
And the healer of the party is this drunken priest guy, who eventually became the bishop, but was still, like, definitely had a problem with boozing and maybe making some questionable decisions. But towards the end of his life, he took in this one orphaned girl, and he had Frieren come. Well, Frieren went to go visit him before he passed away, and he basically strong arms her into taking care of this girl as kind of like his one last good act before he dies, just to be like, hey, like, I have an opportunity here to do the right thing. I think you and her would get along and you could really help her out, sort of thing. And Frieren, like, tearfully is like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. And it seems a really strong first, like, opening chapters. I'm excited to see where this goes. I am almost debating just waiting for the anime to end and then watch that and then read after. Mel, how's the anime?
I think it's pretty good. I haven't read the manga before. It's just, like, I saw people were liking it, and then, like, you know, I admit when they said, oh, we're gonna do the 4-episode premiere, I kind of roll my eyes a bit, especially after finding out it's literally just 4 episodes and not like a movie like Oshinoko did, because, you know, Oshinoko kind of needed that for what the plot was. But then, you know, I watch it, it's just, like, it's pretty solid. It looks nice. I will say, interesting choice to have fake filigree over everything, but, you know, whatever. It's well animated. And yeah, there's just, it's a, you know, I think, you know, you pointed out to being like an RPG kind of setup. I feel like the fact that it purposely, like, eschews game mechanics and RPG stuff did make me think of, like, more like a D&D campaign, which, I mean, still is an RPG, but did, like, make me think more of, like, it's less in, like, it's a fantasy story that's less positioning itself within the same, like, fantasy equals there's game mechanics for some reason that seems to be, like, the zeitgeist in anime right now.
Yeah, and also literature, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, the anime comes from the literature that people make online.
Yeah,
is the thing.
Like, even in the West, lit RPG is this whole genre of thing now that is really popular and booming, and I'm not here for it. I don't want status screens in my novels. I'm sorry.
Hey, if I wanted lit RPG, I would play Final Fantasy, the game.
Wait, they made video games real?
Unfortunately.
I don't need to read a book about how Cloud is upping his attack stat.
I thought Dragon's Quest got invented for Konosuba. God damn.
Yeah. So it's not isekai, just, you know, obviously. It's just like a fantasy story, which is cool.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, he's a very, like, slow-paced kind of, like, story, because, like, it's about, like, he's about, like, after the adventure, but also, like, it's about that in, like, the long term, obviously, because it's more, like, about Frieren decades on, because, like, you know, it opens, like, they leave, and then she comes back and meets, like, the hero after he's an old man, and they meet one last time before his funeral. And it's just, like, her kind of just, like, coming to terms with, like, you know, I thought when we've ended our journey, it was like, in her words, a mere 10 years, where everyone else is like, bro, what the fuck? 10 years is like a long time.
Yeah.
And then like she gets hit at the funeral and she's like, oh, I didn't know this guy, even though he was actually an important part of my life, even though it seemed like a short time to me. Maybe I need to understand the people around me better. And like that's sort of like the impetus of like the story, where it's like she's realizing the disconnect she has with the people around her because of just, you know, being not immortal, but like, you know, functionally immortal in this case.
The perception is so different.
Like just like the time scale she's operating on is like so different, and she comes to realize like she doesn't like the alienation this creates, which is part of like why she kind of lets herself be strong-armed into like helping the priest, which, you know, also gives like some good, like, there's some good characterization there where the priest is like, when they first like finish up and even at the funeral, he's just joking like, oh, you know, I'm a priest, I'm not worried about death, it's all fine and dandy. And then like later, like when she meets him when he's a lot older on death's door, and he's like raising this girl that he wants to like have Frieren take care of, he's like, well, actually I am afraid now, and I was lying, because one, you know, when you get closer, it's easier to say you're not afraid when you're not like right there, and also now that I've taken in this person, like the weight of my death just feels more pressing, just like because I don't know how it's going to be for this person I care about, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely like good character stuff like that. I think that's like the main thing. It's like obviously a fantasy story, and there's going to be like, there is action in it, but the action seems like secondary to the fact that it's like a character thing. And like so far in the anime, I won't say what has happened, but mostly it's been like kind of like a job of the week thing, where Frieren and Fran just go to town and do stuff. Spend a lot more time there than Fran is maybe comfortable with, because that's how Frieren's mind works. Sometimes there's like, you know, some combat. I'm at the point where like, you know, the opening shows that there's like a red-haired boy that joins the party, and I got to the part where he joins. I won't go into him too much, but he's like the fighter, and he's like, his name is like Sturk, I think. I might get the name wrong. I'm not gonna check for now. But he's like the disciple of like the dwarf member of the party who's still around and kicking. But like also he's like, yeah, maybe like dwarves last a bit longer than humans, but not that much. He's still obviously an old man too. And it's kind of so like, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just like interesting, just the way that like Frieren is like this person who's just like almost like outside of the time scales. Everyone is like, her old generation of friends are like moving on and sort of like passing on the torch for her to take care of like these new generation of friends. And it's like, these new young people might, how long will they last? Because like, you know, a lot of time passes between like when Frieren meets Fran and like where the story is at now, and it's sort of like, I don't know. I think it's just like, I'm curious to see where the story goes, because like she's making friends with like this new generation, but also this new generation, on account of being humans, might not outlive her either. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what this story has been so focused on. Like, to your point, it really made an impact on me that like we get like a stereotypical like manga thing at the beginning of like the young girl learning her powers, and like she has this like test, which is like there's a big boulder across this like ridge, and as soon as you can shoot a magical spell that hits that boulder, like I'll believe that you can take care of yourself. And I thought like it's really cool, like this isn't about like, oh, this isn't about like getting strong enough to take down the next foe. This is more like you are doing this to prove to your like parental figure like I can handle myself, and I have agency and independence in the world, sort of thing. Yeah. That's kind of where the focus lies. My friend Claire talked about this to me, and the reason that we kind of got on about this is her and I are the fantasy heads in our group of friends, and we maybe talk about elves too much to everyone else's dismay. I am something of an elf hater. I don't mind when they show up in things, but I do get a little sick of, oh, they're like the beautiful people, and their one big flaw is their pride, and that they're kind of like, you know, snobby or whatever. Sort like I'm so fucking bored of it. So to actually get something that takes the I guess the thing of, oh, elves are so long-lived, which means they can see and criticize, like, the people of the world because they've seen all of the ways in which they fucked up, and they're powerless to actually do too much to stop it, sort of thing, unless they, like, get over themselves and start to help out other people. I really enjoy having that zoomed in onto a personal perspective, where it becomes like an emotional crisis for the character, where she just suddenly is like, I don't know how to relate to people because our perceptions of the world and time and how we spend our time here is so different, and like that bothers her in a way that I thought was really refreshing. I'm very excited to see where the story goes.
Dr. Manhattan moment.
Honestly, a little bit.
But yeah. I also just like, I don't know if I think they're well animated in the anime, but also it's like they aren't intricately detailed affairs, and they often end really quickly because, to be honest, our characters are pretty strong, and like it's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting as well. Just like, you know, it's not like it's a fantasy story with battles in it, but like the battles aren't like why you're here. They're kind of like secondary to like the actual story as being told.
Yeah. The only other thing that I've done is I'm following up on something I talked about forever ago. I beat the first world of Honkai Star Rail, and I have to actually say, remember how like last time we talked about how, oh no, this might be like the good one of these, like the one of these that does all the gacha shit, but then is also like just a really fucking good RPG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am sad to confirm I think this is the case.
Fuck.
The thing that made me go, oh fuck, I actually think I have a degree of respect for this game in comparison to a lot of other like live like games as service things that I've tried out in my life. I reached a fucking fight that I just couldn't win, and the answer wasn't like, yeah, go upgrade your shit. It was, yeah, motherfucker, you need to go find the party composition that will let you beat this. And I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
this is a real RPG. This is a real video game. What's happening?
Yeah, I have friends who play the game, and they talk about like their team compositions a bunch, and they talk about like it's going to be weird because it has an RPG, but like they talk about having a main and like building a team around that main, which I think probably matters more for like the 5 stars, which I think have like weirder
Yes.
gimmicks. Because like I have a friend who's like their favorite character, partly because of like their own taste, is like the Mahjong character, and they're a weird one. And I'm like, you know, you have to like make characters. Make a party that's like, if you're gonna have like, this is my character, you want a character who like synergizes with this character's weird gimmicks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the weird gimmicks are like even they get weirder and more gimmicky the higher up the tiers you go. Sometimes
Yeah.
I haven't really gotten far because I just where I'm at and have been stalled for the past few months is like I'm at the big city in the first world and I haven't progressed there, but sometimes I'll log in and be like, okay, I'll do the trials for this character because I'm like, well, how does this character play mechanically? And I get a bit of satisfaction out of doing that. But I've been 50-50 on like, I should play more of this. It's just also a matter of like, you know, I've also been playing other JRPGs on the PS1, which is, you know,
Honestly, probably better and healthier use of your time.
yeah, like you know, I don't mind like picking away at Star Rail as like a like treating it like a first person game. It's just like, you know, I probably would also just think Xenosaga is more worth my time right now.
There's a couple things that got me back into it. One, I can't remember if I talked about this last time. The dailies in this game take 2 minutes. You go into a menu that has like, here's a lineup of the things you can do to get your daily rewards, and then you click on the teleport thing to take you basically immediately there. you maybe talk to a person or you do one of their like EXP fountain things or whatever, which is just like one fight, and then you're done. Compared to Genshin, where it's like sometimes it's like escort this hot air balloon that's really fragile for like 2 minutes, and like that's just one of 4 things you need to do, or like it's like a big long fetch quest. I'm like, just no, you're wasting my time. I don't want to spend 10 minutes of my day doing this sort of thing. Honkai just fits into your life better, and it also helps that because it's a turn-based RPG, with a fast forward and auto battle feature, you can just kind of like let it play itself for some of the more like dumb stuff that you don't need to focus on. The other thing is that the PS5 version came out, and sometimes it's just easy just for me to put it on my like living room screen, and when like at work I'm waiting for an email or something and I'm like making food in the other room, I'll just like play around a little bit or do a side quest or something, and just like having it kind of on in my living room helped a lot, because I don't know, whenever I want to do dumb shit on my phone to distract myself, I don't gravitate towards games usually. I doom scroll, so the final fight, I won't say too much in case you do want to go back into it, for the first area is like peak JRPG, like multi-phase boss fight with like a fun, cool gimmick. You get like a cool shonen-esque power-up and new weapon for the main character. There's the hardest butt rock you've ever heard in your life jamming out in the background. And I was like, fuck. I care way more about this than anything in Genshin. And part of that is honestly the team comp stuff that you talked about. Like, in Genshin, I got the one character I wanted, who is like Virgil but with electricity powers. And that game just became like a face roll on the controller, where it's just like I can just mash whatever buttons, and just as long as I'm switching between my characters and doing all of their dumb elemental stuff, it'll all react with each other and I'll do the big damage and I'll win. Honkai just feels harder in a way that makes you actually have to think about what the problem is that it's putting towards you, and the answer isn't just go grind some more. In a way that I actually think makes the gacha more insidious almost too, because when you get a 5-star that's really fucking good and good enough to effectively balance your party around, it's like, oh fuck, I'm really happy that I pulled what some consider the best healer in the game, because I don't know how I'd do some of these fights if I didn't have some of these healing abilities. Yeah, it's very interesting to noodle in my brain as someone who's not the biggest fan of how RPGs are necessarily going, because so much of what we would have considered like lower rung or like middle of the pack budget games or whatever have just like gone on to become like gacha projects or whatever at this point, which has been depressing to see. But then, you know, at least Square is still holding out strong with shit like Harvestella. But it's just been interesting to like noodle in my brain. Like, this is,
I mean, just in
what a
general,
lot of this is gonna look.
Square is the one who's doing a Harvestella, but is also the one doing like a gacha for every one of their IPs that lasts only a year. So, you know.
Yes. Ever Crisis. I will never play that game.
You don't want to play the first soldier? Oh wait, you can.
No, not anymore. I thought it was unhinged. Like, the first event that they had for Ever Crisis was like a first soldier tie-in thing, even after that game had died. Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, I regret to unfortunately say I'm still probably going to be playing Honkai for the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's honestly just better than Genshin. I legitimately kind of think Genshin sucks, honestly, if I'm being honest. But Honkai, I was like, okay, there's enough quality here to keep my interest.
Cool. One day I'll pick away at it.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, you didn't see the movie, right?
No. Okay.
Okay.
I did not have the time to sit down and watch it this week because of my deadline, unfortunately.
That's all right. We'll talk about it later.
All right. Mel, did you have anything other than, how is it pronounced, Frieren?
Yeah, hunt down the Frieren.
Oh
It's not
no.
called that. It's not called that.
You fucked up my face.
I last week I had seen Battle in Outer Space. We'll talk about it when Raz talks about it. But this week I was like, well, I got to get this, squeeze this in somewhere. So I just rewatched Mothra. Don't need to go too in depth because we've talked about it before. Just want to squeeze it in because it was like Raz wasn't going to watch it again. So it's good to watch a good. It's good to watch a good kaiju movie.
Yeah.
It's the story's about something. There's characters who have like personalities. The stuff going on isn't just like okay. I was gonna say it isn't just the racism, but it is there. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I
would say I feel like it is the most considered out of, I would say, probably any of the kaiju stuff we've seen so far.
It is.
But it's still not great.
It is sympathetic to, the Pacific Islanders, but it's also still, in a way that's racist in presentation.
Yes.
Racism is simply the tax we pay for watching kaiju stuff.
Yeah.
Shockingly, it doesn't need to be this way, but it keeps cropping up.
I will say, I have seen people say, oh, if you think about it, the story of Mothra is like King Kong with a twist, which I think, like, well, I guess that explains why the Islanders are there, if you take that perspective. Apparently, the main country, which, technically isn't the bad guy, but, like, the villain is from there, in the movie is, like, Japanese, pig head brain. What if we make it a country that's, like, both the US and the USSR allegory because of the superpowers.
Yes.
Except apparently Mothra is apparently based off a novel originally where it's just the US.
I mean, even in the movie, like it's like New York City or some shit.
It's Newkirk.
Newkirk City. It's so obvious it's just America.
Yeah.
Newkirk's a good one though. That's a good fake New York.
Yeah. There's like yeah, so like it's like King Kong with a twist if you think about it, because like it's like a couple of like fairies who get kidnapped, and the kaiju comes to rescue the fairies.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, Mothra's cool. Starts as a little caterpillar, turns to cocoon on Tokyo Tower, and they try burning it, and then instead a giant moth comes out, and it's cool. It's nice
this is why King Kong versus Godzilla couldn't use Tokyo Tower. Mothra did it first.
Yeah, it's nice that like the climax of the movie, like the military doesn't get involved, but it's like for the most part a very minor footnote. Like the actual plot of the movie is like the characters, like the issue is that the greedy guy is doing something shitty and won't back down, and like the people in the movie are trying to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have personalities, and they aren't just like, no, it's the bad guys. We have to blow them up with the guns. Oh,
I love the journalist so much.
He's really good. He's just like a friendly guy, who just can't let a scoop go.
Any action scene involving him where he like kind of needs to fight is really funny. Like they did a great job.
A bunch of just like scenes where like the rich guy's goons get into fights with the protagonist, including like the one guy's little brother who's like 10.
Beating up 10-year-olds in this movie.
Yeah,
they try. Yeah.
And just like the one like rich guy's just like an asshole who's just like, I'm gonna keep parading these kids around, not kids. Fairies around. I don't care what the giant moth says, and everyone just like starts hating him because it's like, dude, this is your fault. This like giant moth, force of nature, is just like, just give him, just could solve this. It is nice that like Mothra is like, again, like kind of like a force of nature, and like I think just because of the framing of the movie, not as much of a villain. Like, like Godzilla is like a force of nature. Mm-hmm. But like I think at least presented as more of an antagonist so far, and Rodan is kind of just a big animal, cool animal, but still,
Two animals.
And we don't need, and Varane is useless. We don't need to talk about it.
I need to apologize for how fucking long I went on about that audio commentary last time, but goddamn,
it was cool.
I don't think I realized how much more interesting it was than the actual movie until I listened back to their podcast we recorded.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Sometimes you watch a movie and it's not actually very good. It's just oh well.
Crime.
Yeah,
We should make it criminal to make bad movies.
It is. It's illegal now.
I'm sorry, we have to arrest you, J.J. Abrams.
What if consensus changes on a movie though?
Can't have that.
Nope.
Once the reviews are in, that's it.
Yeah, critical reappraisal not happening.
We got laws in the way.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I guess if
Psychopath season 4 looking.
based on that rule framework, no one can say Sonic Adventure 2 is bad.
Yeah, I assure you, Psychopath season 4 is under no circumstances looking good ever.
Mothra thing. I like the scene where the villain gets got a lot.
Yeah, he's just like trying to escape still, and like this crowd of people is like, hey, it's the asshole who's ruining our lives, and he just like, starts shooting people, and he doesn't get away with it.
That, but then also, I don't know how much I should say, because Red, you still need to watch this, right?
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
I shouldn't spoil it, but
the way that the scene goes, it's very revealing how this man sees people as a whole, and also like going back to his treatment of like the native people from the island that Mothra's from, and I genuinely thought like, oh wow, like this movie actually is like taking some swings here that I really appreciated.
It helps to have like a actual movie you don't phone in.
Yeah.
And it's written with consideration.
Like, I would still say of the early Kaiju stuff that we've all watched, I do think Rodan's still my favorite, but I do think Mothra has the stronger script. It like you said, it has really strong characters compared to everything else.
Yeah.
Like, Godzilla has Serizawa, but, it's mostly just Serizawa.
Did we ever talk about how like Serizawa's actor was an Ultraman?
Briefly.
I think we did.
Mentioned. Okay. He's in the episode with the plant guy jumping out of the cupboard.
Yeah, he's like the professor guy, who got like kidnapped in the last episode.
Yes. Yes. I do. I think we did talk about it. Yeah. All right. If we're done, we can talk about Ultraseven. And before we get to the big finale, we've got episode 47. Who are you? A man named Sato returns home to his apartment to find his wife and son do not know who he is. Sato initially thinks it's a joke. But in his drunken haze, he begins to admit that maybe he got the wrong apartment. Outside, Sato attempts to organize his thoughts and realizes there must be something wrong here. He starts to see strange figures moving in the dark and calls the Ultra Guard on a payphone. Midway through telling Furuhashi what's happening, Sato gets ambushed by aliens. Furuhashi is dismissive of the call, thinks it's a prank, but Dan thinks something's up as the call came from the same region. Yeah.
He specifically says, like, we don't deal with domestic issues. Call us if you see an alien saucer or something.
Yeah.
Probably worth pointing out, something we haven't for a while, is that Furuhashi increasingly characterizes the person who just doesn't want to do work, and so he's like, this person's just telling a prank and just finding reasons to deflect.
That has increasingly become his identity. It's very funny.
Maybe it comes from not wanting to speak to his mom.
Yeah. No, he's maybe what's happened is he started speaking to his mom, and that has sapped his will to work. Which is something that happens in real life sometimes. Let's see. Yes, Dan thinks something's up, as the call came from the same region they were inspecting due to strange radio signals or something like that. The Ultra Guard investigates. During the daytime, everyone who previously didn't recognize Sato is now very concerned about the fact he didn't come home last night, wife included. Night falls, and Dan and Furuhashi are keeping an eye out for anything weird. Dan notices that the tower blocks are getting replaced, but at a frequency the human eye can't see. So he has to be like, trust me, bro, to Furuhashi. The two fight off attackers and then determine to find where the original apartments went. They find them underground, where they also find Sato. All three get ambushed by the aliens, who are nocturnal and live in identical apartment blocks that they switch out at night. Furuhashi and Sato get frozen, and Dan turns into Ultraseven. He safely sets aside Furuhashi and Sato and gets into the fight against 3 alien kaiju. Well, it's the aliens, but they're big. They just turn big. The Ultra Guard show up too, and it's a big battle. Battle rages. Ultraseven wins. The next day, the Ultra Guards say goodbye to Sato, who goes to his apartment, knocks on the door, and realizes he's in the wrong block, and rushes over to the next one, while the Ultra Guard has a good laugh. Sato and his family reunite, and they wave goodbye to the crew. The end. I quite like this episode.
I do too. I popped off, actually, because I genuinely think, and I don't want to say too much because I think people should go watch it, but I genuinely think this inspired the 5th Karaoke movie, or like chapter, I guess, because it was a book first.
I was literally sat here watching this going, damn, I can't wait for this episode to start randomly cutting between scenes. It reminded me of that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just think it's a solid mystery. You know, we know there's something up here. There's a guy that needs rescuing. Ultraseven, as usual, doing a good job with its characters that aren't the main cast, with just like setting up this guy and giving him, you know, some stakes, and then we gotta go find out what's up. And I think there's just a lot of very creative special effects on display, in particular with Dan's view of the buildings getting replaced, getting switched out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And I think the fight's all right. It's like him versus 3 people, yeah, but it's like, you know, I kind of breezed over it because, you know, it's the fight. I kind of don't really care that much. But I just think it's like a solid little mystery. I think this is kind of the platonic ideal of like what the mystery episodes of Ultraseven.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing our good friend Kiji Kobayashi return as Sato.
Oh yeah, Muramatsu.
Yeah. Muramatsu himself is our boy Sato.
He's back in Gaslit.
Getting way. I have never the bit where he's like, he accepts that, oh yeah, I must have the wrong building, and goes and sits outside, and it's like, this is the feeling of like, okay, I know I'm drunk, so I have to figure out if what I think is reasonable or just me being drunk. And he just like works it through and gets to the end, is just like, no, there is something wrong here. I know I'm drunk, but there is something wrong here. Felt for the guy.
Yeah, I thought the episode was alright. I don't know if I'm as high on it as you two are, but you know. It's pretty solid. Definitely an improvement over the last 2 weeks where the first episode we watched of each batch was not necessarily great.
Yeah. You're not a big fan of the Kappa episode? It's not your favorite episode of Ultraseven?
And not a big fan of the Ape episode either, for that matter.
No. You didn't like Dan having a dramatic confrontation with a monkey with a silly voice.
Gory. Well, that was Goron, but
yeah, don't mix up your gores.
Yeah, true. This is a classic mistake. This episode did crystallize for me something that I feel like I sometimes feel bad about, which is like, are my favorite episodes of Ultra 7 just the ones that are basically Ultra Q episodes, but then the Ultra 7 stuff happens in the back half? But, like, I don't know. When this show leads into, like, the mystery angle and, like, we get a little bit of time away from the main crew so that we can really feel the plight and, like, the weirdness of it all, I think it's some of the series' strongest and most memorable moments. I like this a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think I think it's a pretty solid gimmick on, you know, what's happening with the aliens. There's some naturally, as there always is, there's some ideological stuff with, you know, people just getting replaced by aliens. I think as like an alien invasion story, I think this is a pretty neat one. I think it presents like a unique opportunity for weird shit to happen.
Yeah.
I like how they fight some construction workers at night.
True.
Yeah, I was full like, oh my god, Star Trek's happening. I say this is just a fist fight.
It's so funny to me because the first one is like a guy up high on some scaffolding who drops some like really heavy timber on Furuhashi and Dan, and just like, I think it's Furuhashi, immediately pulls out a gun and shoots him. I'm like, thank God that wasn't just a dude who happened to drop some shit.
Furuhashi confirmed Arashi in secret.
Honestly,
Arashi, don't shoot. I'm gonna shoot.
Is this Muramatsu post?
Yeah,
retirement.
He got
No
fired.
witness protection.
Yeah.
He got fired for misconduct. He was too misogynist.
I do think this is maybe one of the most tortured reasons why people don't see Dan transform we've gotten, which is both Sato and Furuhashi get shoot by frozen in place Ray, and Dan goes, well, fuck it, you made my life a lot easier, and then pulls out the Ultra.
Yeah.
He should run 5 kilometers like Hyatt.
Yeah, every time. It's like he put in so much effort all the time. This is like, now you stay here. I'm gonna run a half marathon in that direction. I liked the transformation of the aliens into aliens, where they just walk through the revolving doors and come back, and then one of them does that, and then the other two also do that. As though it's just like, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. I'm gonna get in on this too. Yeah, I just think it's just like a fundamentally well executed episode. I like it.
Would you believe me if I told you this was a first time episode director this late into the show?
Oh wow!
It's not actually that. I was surprised when I read it, but then actually looking at it, I was like, okay, no, this actually makes sense. So this was a guy named Tatsumi Ando who worked at Tsuburaya. Doesn't seem to be like a lot about his life really, outside of just like where he went to school and graduated and stuff. So like, I don't know, but basically he worked for a bunch of like places doing special effects, like shows and stuff, as a chief assistant director. And he did that for Ultra 7, just like as a whole for the whole series, and then he was promoted to director for just this one episode. And he then also worked on a bunch of other stuff like Redman, Fireman, Ultra Fight. I am now looking that he worked on a show called Triple Fighter and directed an episode called, and I quote, "I Can Hear the Song of Hell." That goes hard.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I guess the one little tidbit I could find about this guy was that people were like, "Wow, you shoot your stuff really fast," and he goes, "We're making a weekly show, we gotta." So,
the Clint Eastwood of Tsuburaya Productions.
Yeah, and then it was written by Shozo Uehara, which tracks, I feel.
Nice. No Capsule Kaiju. No, there are no more Capsule Kaiju in this.
Nope.
There have been. Do we have a count on how many there have been? I'll ask when we're done.
Yeah, I'm good. I have a roundup.
All right, nice.
When we're finished, yeah.
Do we have anything more to say about episode 47?
This might crack top 5 episodes of the show for me. I'd have to think about it, but it's up there for me.
I mean, it might. Mel shaking her head in disbelief.
I feel weird. I just like, what? This is fun. I don't know about top 5.
You're not alien huck-pilled enough for.
I believe it's Alien Hook.
The secret is that we have been replaced by Alien. We're Alien Hook. We're like, yeah, this episode is really good.
You've been replaced. That's why you all like Ultraman now.
Yep. Ultraman is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen.
Except for the Jisoji episodes. Yikes.
Yeah. God. Suck.
What a weirdo.
He had a strong start with his debut, but after that he really fell off.
That Pearl episode's, damn, one of the greats. It really is. Women do like jewelry.
Yeah, I was about to say, God, Fuji is such a strong character.
I'm really glad you took what you learned from doing Yuriko and Ultra Q and applied it to greater heights.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on then.
How are you doing this?
How am I doing this? I'm going to tell you how I'm doing this. I've written a summary for both of the episodes at once.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I'm just going through. So. The biggest invasion in history. The finale of Ultra 7. Episode 48 and 49. Dan is ill. And he should be ill all the time if they're going to shoot him like this. For my benefit. Thank you. He wonders what's that. You can ignore that. He wonders what is the matter with him. But he goes out on patrol despite Soga telling him he looks like shit. On patrol, Dan fucks up big time and gets shot down by alien ghosts while Kurata, the captain's genocide buddy, is in his ear telling him he sucks and shouldn't be in the Ultra Guard.
The turn in characterization for Kurata this episode is incredible. Because I feel like the first time we saw him, it's like, oh yeah, he's a cool guy, he's captain's friend. Second time, you did what on what planet? This time around, just constantly shitting on Dan.
He's worked with Dan.
He's been talking to Alien Paul. He was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. That guy sucks. Dan is rescued, and Anne warns him that his body needs rest. Dan does some training while in recovery, and he finds he can't hit his shots, he can't do pull-ups, and he can't hoop. He will never be balling.
He'll never be balling.
The basketball bit killed me. I'm like, oh, are we going to see him not be able to make a basket? And that's totally what happens, and I lost it. I'm so happy.
Dan is visited by his manager, who is like, bro, you cannot turn into Ultra 7 again. Do you have any idea how much damage you've taken? You've got into a life or death struggle every week for a year, dude. Dan is on duty at the comms when Kurata calls about an alien ghost attack heading for Earth. Dan is so fucking out of it that he is late to hit the alarm. the fact that Kurata will remind him of a lot later. The Ultra Guard deploy, and Amagi gets captured by a bubble gun and gets floated away to the enemy ship.
It looks so good.
Bubbles, man. I'm telling you, you gotta watch out for those bubbles.
There's just a shot of the sky with Amagi slowly floating away. It's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Multiple shots in these 2 episodes of tiny figure Amagi, which are truly special and will be treasured in my heart always. The ghosts launch a kaiju. Is this kaiju called Pandon? Pandon. Okay, there we go. The ghosts launch Pandon, and Dan sees his friends in mortal peril. He ignores the warnings and turns into Ultraseven. He does not fight good anymore. He sucks now, and he only barely manages to scrape through this fight with the help of Anne in the Ultra Hawk. He collapses and is brought in for urgent care. The episode full-on, old-school, like, Doctor Who cliffhangers us with the possibility Dan might be dead, and then at the beginning of next episode is just like, no, he's okay. He's fine. Don't worry.
It's really funny, because they, like, do, like, the circle around of everyone's shocked faces, except for Anne, and they just freeze on, like, Kiriyama's face, and then the next episode is just goes around and, like, completes the circle to Anne, who's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Now, with Dan out for the count, Amagi kidnapped, and Kurata still going off on one every 5 minutes about how much Dan sucks and should die. He's like low-tier god.png. Things are looking pretty bleak. They are about to look bleaker because alien ghosts have attacked the base and established their own base on Earth. They announce they have underground drill missiles ready to obliterate the biggest cities in the world, and they tell the people of Earth, yo, we want your planet. You can move to Mars or something. You better surrender in a few hours or else we'll hit the button. We're not fucking joking. You have no idea just how much we are not fucking joking. Meanwhile...
I just want to point out that, like, they specifically say, oh, we'll give you refuge on an underground city on Mars, and then within the same conversation, they're like, you know, humans have good air and, like, land power, but they don't have good underground power. And it's like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentional, but, you know.
It works either way. Meanwhile, Dan has fled the base because Anne kept saying they were going to X-ray him, and he's shy about being an alien. A mother and child find him unconscious at the wheel of the pointer and take him home to take care of him. The mother keeps trying to call doctors, and the kid, who is an Ultra Guard superfan, agrees to sneak Dan off to his secret base. Good news, the Ultra Guard have found the ghost base. Bad news, the ghosts hit the fucking button. We cut between shots of London, Paris, and New York, and they're all models.
And Moscow.
I'm like, oh, and Moscow, yes. And I'm like, let's fucking go. The ghosts launch the drill missiles and blow them all up, and then get on TV and are like, we told you, Tokyo's next. The Ultra Guard have a plan. They will put the Magmarizer on autopilot and send it drilling into the ghost base, where it will self-destruct while packed with explosives. This will also kill Amagi, but it's Amagi or the world.
Kurata goes... Is it Kurata who is like, what is the life of one man compared to all the people of Earth or something like that?
Yeah. And meanwhile, Soga is like sticking up for Dan and wants to protect Amagi. Also, worth noting, Kurata is like going, oh, Dan's a deserter, the coward, at the same time.
Yes. He was like, hey, he ran away because he sucks. I told him he sucked, and he believed me because it's true, and he ran. Dan, not a deserter, but hiding out in a child's secret base, which feels a bit like a deserter, but it's not. Dan, watching TV, realizes he's the only one who can save Amagi, and he heads out to transform. I guess he doesn't realize that Amagi's in danger yet.
No.
He might. His manager...
I think he does.
Either way, his manager shows up again. Like, we really mean it this time. You're gonna fucking die if you do this. Then Anne shows up and says the boy called the Ultra Guard to say where Dan was. She tells him about the plan and asks him to return. Dan breaks the big news to Anne. He's Ultra 7. After the initial shock, she says it doesn't matter. He's still Dan. He tells her he needs to fight as Ultra 7 one more time, and it will be the last time. He will have to return to the M78 Nebula. He transforms against her wishes, and now it's a race against the Magmarizer. He flies into the base and pulls out a little figure of Amagi in a jar just before the Magmarizer drills through... Thank you. Just before the Magmarizer drills through the wall and explodes. Amagi is saved, the Earth is saved, and the Kaiju from last episode returns as a cyborg for one last fight. Anne explains to the rest of the Ultra Guard that Dan was Ultra 7 this whole time, and they decide they have to help him. Ultra 7 and the Ultra Hawks combined manage to defeat Pandan, and then, as promised, Dan returns to the stars, to the M78 Nebula, where the rest of the cast believe he will continue to watch over them. The end.
They
shit.
look up in the stars and see him running at various angles for like 5 minutes.
That's really good.
Yes.
And then laughing. Sometimes tilted, sometimes not.
Sometimes fogging.
Yeah.
Yes. He does. This is goddamn. What a final episode of a show.
It's really cool that they just did the ending of Ultraman again, but way fucking
good.
cooler.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
It's
like in
so
every
good.
possible angle. Like, I guess some people may argue that Zetan's cooler than this thing, but I love this. I love Pandan a lot. It is the fire-breathing kaiju that the children singing in the intro have promised us.
Oh my god, it is.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, no, that was my takeaway, because they start playing the song again at the end. Is like, defeat the fire-breathing kaiju or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, yeah.
They can't
we
have known.
that.
They can't have known. Oh my god. Anyway.
See,
Yeah.
I take the opposite approach at that, where I want to say, I bet there's like one guy in the back that's like, he's never actually fought anything that breathes fire. And they're like, fuck, we can't lie to the kids.
Right. we can't. Toru Narita, the kids know when they're lied to.
Yeah. That was his one condition after he left on his exit interview. He's like, you gotta do the fire breathing one at some point, even when I'm gone.
Where the fuck do we begin? Because like, there's a lot in these 2 episodes.
First of all, I want to start with I'm making a call out post on my twitter.com. Hideaki Anno, like, this is like just further evidence of like this is not to say Hideaki Anno is a thief. This is simply watching this episode and seeing Hideaki Anno's style emerge in more ways. As just like the whole, like, the last episode with like from the moment that Dan reveals that he's Ultra 7 to Anne,
That shot's really good.
it's
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's
And then the what is it, Schumann kicks in the orchestral music, and that just plays through this whole final sequence of Ultra 7 rushing to save Amagi while the Magmarizer has never been so cool.
Yeah. It rules. I legitimately love that this final bit is the Ultra Guard being like the human element and like using everything they can to like defend themselves, while what Ultra 7 is doing is not like going off to fight the threat in this like final bit. It's specifically mostly just to save Amagi.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's just like, I like that the reason 7 transforms at the end, and the thing he does is save Amagi first and foremost, while the actual alien invasion is defeated by the people.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ending of Ultraman. But then also like the final battle is like Ultra 7 teaming up with the Ultra Guard to fight the enemy.
I think it especially works because Kurata is being reasonable, right? In the sense that you can't save Amagi. To save Amagi would literally be a miracle, and it's like, well, that's what Ultra 7's for, and it's like,
I also feel like I'd also add like Kurata's being an ass, but there is a degree to which he's also being like correct, because it is irresponsible for Dan to like be on duty when he's like physically cannot do it and it's putting people in danger.
Yes.
That is a correct criticism that he has. He's just like, also being an asshole about it. And obviously we're like, oh no, you can't be mean to the protagonist, even though he's a fucking dipshit in this case.
Yeah, it's really funny that he's like that about it. It's so just like every time it's like, oh, this motherfucker again. Moriboshi Dan, you are a piece of shit.
The actor is at 11, and I feel like we should have maybe... I feel like that makes sense for maybe the last...
11 is perfect.
Yes. I feel like, though, I feel like it would have been less distracting for me if he was like that at the end of that little, like, bit of, like, arc, but like he goes off immediately and he's like, what the fuck, are you stupid, you can't fire your missiles? Like, it was a little budget at the beginning.
He's kind of like at 11 for the get-go.
Yeah. But
Moriboshi Dan
his criticisms are not wrong.
Moriboshi Dan would not survive a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. Confirmed.
Listen, you're just mad what I can do with this jet when you can't do with your fucking... I can't remember how that clip goes. It's the one where he plays the guitar.
Listen, we all know that Ultra Heroes wouldn't be playing Call of Duty. They'd be playing a different first-person shooter because, as everyone knows, Gento did the first Halo jump.
This is true.
They also do love to kill aliens.
Yes.
Oh, God. Oh, let me tell you about Halo.
It's even got the Christian imagery.
It has. It's got everything.
I'm trying to think.
There was a point that I had before I pivoted to the Magmarizer, which was that whole sequence is just, to me, is just like Hideaki Anno coded.
I can see it.
I also want to add, while we're on the Magmarizer, apparently, like, the drills that the ghosts use, apparently they are just like model kits of the mole from Thunderbirds repainted.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I saw those missiles and I said, those just look like the mole. Because they've got the little, I feel like they've got the little tracks on the side. That makes so much sense. That's so funny.
I did not expect those cities to explode.
Yeah.
God, what a moment.
So I was blown away by that. Just quickly, I think I saw who wrote this episode. Who wrote this episode, Rasen?
This episode was written by our friend Tetsuo Kinjo, both of them. And also both were directed by Kazuho Mitsuda as well.
Okay. Tetsuo Kinjo is on some shit this week. Blowing up the Western countries.
Yeah.
I'm saying it right now, I think he's in his third Woldus arc.
Oh my god, he's 1988 rolls around and he's cheering on the asteroid.
He's seen that meme image of like the Chinese emperor blowing up New York, and he's just like, yep, that's that's how the first world should go.
Oh man, it's incredible. The moment that they revealed like models of the Arc de Triomphe, I was like, wait, hang on. Are we actually doing it?
Yeah. Anyway,
that sequence itself is fantastic. There's just like a lot of just shots of just like billowing flames.
Yeah, big cities just being exploded.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Also, I am counting it.
Ultraman Genocide Counter.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you. I'm glad we got to use it one more time after our regret. Yes, on humanity. It's so
okay.
fitting.
It's okay. It's the colonizers. They do got blown up. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, this is really funny. Apparently, the shots of the cities blowing up were not even filmed by Tsuburaya, but they just took it from the Toho movie The Last War.
Oh, that's so funny. That's fantastic.
I wonder what the last war's about.
Maybe it's about the greatest invasion in history.
So yeah, we kind of talked about like some highlights here, but I like the center of this episode is, frankly, I think a stroke of genius finale for a Monster of the Week show, which is, bro, you've been fighting monsters every week. You're tired.
Yeah.
You can't do this anymore. Do you know how much damage you've taken?
And then the hero going, no, but there's a new monster. You don't understand, boss. There's a new monster every week. I did find myself being like, I wish we had just enough of like modern TV-ism in here that like they could have seeded this a little bit more in like the past 10 episodes or so, because that's what they would totally do nowadays. But like it is really powerful just seeing like him lying in bed sweating the shit out of him, like just being like, oh god, I can't do this shit anymore.
I can confirm it is good to see that. I can confirm. There was some really wild close-ups. I was like, damn, right. Just like
he is the most annoying clock in the world, by the way, in his fucking room. I don't know. Jesus Christ, I could never.
It is interesting. We see like Seven's captain. They like did the Zoffy thing again.
Yeah, and
but,
he doesn't look. It would have been funny if it was Zoffy again and not someone who looks like Ultraseven.
I wondered for a second, and then I was like, no, because Zoffy doesn't look like that. And I feel like they wouldn't change the design if it's supposed to be the same one.
Yeah.
Does he have a name, really? Because I know in the Sorter we did, it was just like his superior, but...
Yeah, so basically, they kind of forgot this guy existed, and like retroactively just called him Seven's like superior, because he's just not a guy, which is really funny.
Oh,
that's fun. See, that feels like a guy that like they would be extremely not normal about in like spin-off and sequel stuff. Because he shows up at the last bit, and it's very funny.
It's kind of funny.
You mean like Zoffy?
Like,
yes,
like Zoffy, exactly. But it's funny they did Zoffy again, but like then they forgot about it.
Yeah,
and even though this guy arguably is on screen for longer than Zoffy is.
Yeah.
Really
so
funny.
actually, this segues nicely into something I thought about a lot watching these last 3 episodes. I feel like part of the reason for that is because of how Ultraman handles it versus how this 2-parter handles it for Ultra 7. Zoffy feels like more of a presence. He has a like extended conversation in like weird trippy space-time with Ultraman about like the episode and how everything's going down and like his death and like fighting to save humanity sort of thing. His role, the 7 Superior's role in Ultra 7 here is to serve as quick flash warnings while Dan struggles with his mortality and the state of his body versus his love of his newfound friends and fighting to protect this planet that he has come to appreciate. And he just... 7 Superior shines less compared to that tension, that narrative drama. And I feel like as a whole, this is how I feel about Ultra 7 compared to Ultraman, where the more time I'm spending away from the Ultra 7 stuff that we've watched and liked, the more I'm starting to feel like I kind of understand and can see why maybe Ultraman is the one that has the greater cultural like stock in a way, because the simplicity of those episodes means that the memorable moments stand out a little bit more, whereas Ultra 7 I think is a much better written show, but the episode plots are a lot more dramatic in nature and a lot more complex with what they have going on, that I think as a result the individual elements sometimes don't get the chance to stick in people's brains as much, which makes the experience of watching Ultra 7, I think, a lot more enjoyable. But I think for children watching at the time, I could understand why Ultraman is the one that is remembered possibly with greater interest.
It's also why it's the show that became a cult classic with adults.
Yes.
Instead of children. Also worth noting, like, the Ultra 7, like, Zoffy got his own suit and unique design, and this is just, like, some other guy wearing the Ultraseven suit talking to Dan. Like, it's not a unique design. And, like, I've seen some fan theories that are like, oh, Dan is just, like, hallucinating a guy. It's not actually a person. And, like, he never shows up again, so it doesn't actually matter. So
This is the ghost of the imitation Ultraseven he killed.
I am you, Dan.
Oh my god. I think just the central stuff of Dan struggling with like his body failing is just really like surprisingly pretty well done. I was like, oh.
And also just like still not wanting even to the end to like reveal he's an alien. I guess partly because like, you know, he's in like the anti-alien police.
There is like a being in the anti-alien police means that there's clearly like a fear that like, you know, revealing that he's an alien like automatically disconnects him from his friends. You know, that they're not gonna see him as Dan anymore.
Even, which is, you know, definitely complicated by the fact that like, you know, they do like Ultraseven.
They do but it'll be a different thing. It won't be the same.
Yeah.
And also then you have to answer for, well, why didn't you be open about this in the first place? Which again would cast doubt. But I love that Anne is immediately like, I don't care, even if you're Ultraseven, you are also still Dan to us. That whole conversation is fantastic.
Yeah.
The sadness of just like, you know, I can finally be honest, but also this is the moment where I just have to go away. I'm never going to see you again.
I think it's because of that he's able to be honest. Really.
Yeah, this is true.
Because he's like, well, I'm either going to die or be gone, and I'm not going to see you again tomorrow. So you don't have to be like, oh yeah, it's our coworker Ultraseven. And then have to deal with the awkward jokes of how there's actually only 6 of them.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard when at the end of our Return of Ultraman season, I reveal that the American Prometheus bits weren't bits, and Fury of the South Sea was actually my favorite episode this whole time.
Oh god!
And then I leave the internet forever.
Yeah, I think that's is that more evil than revealing your Ultraseven? Ultraseven has committed some crimes. An interesting conundrum. We've mentioned it already, but the shot where he announces that he's Ultraseven and they just unveil like this wall of lights behind them.
Yes.
And silhouette them and just linger on the two of them just staring at each other silhouetted. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. You know what the YouTube thumbnail is going to be this week.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Amagi in a bubble, no.
It's so funny, Amagi is just like their mouthpiece while they blow up the earth.
Yeah,
honestly, shoutouts to Amagi's actor for pulling off that speech as well as he did. He's just like, either you surrender and we let you live underground on Mars, or all of you are dead. Like, it's the funniest fucking laugh. It's so good.
Glow up from being the guy in the suit to this guy.
Hell yeah, absolutely. God. Honestly,
I gotta say,
go ahead.
I feel like when you make an episode like this, there was a real threat of that being Anne, and I think the episode would have been a lot worse. I'm happy that it was Amagi, and then right, Anne was the one that got to have the conversation about Dan's true identity, because that is the much better decision for the story you were telling.
But even though this show isn't like...
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So even though the show isn't serialized and aren't, like, you know, doing the planting the plot sees, I do feel like they do enough with, like, in individual episodes showing, like, Dan and Anne hanging out, like, as friends, perhaps, like, more than they hang out with, like, other people on the team, and also just, like, that Anne does care about, like, Dan perhaps more than anyone else, so I think it, like, works. Just, like, there's established character stuff here.
But what if romantically lit Dan and Soga?
I was going to say, I am genuinely shocked how much I actually kind of came to care about Anne and Soga throughout the course of this series.
Apparently, like when they were as the finale was getting closer, I guess like they had the idea of what they wanted to do for the finale for a while. So like they were like encouraging Dan and Anne's actors to like spend more time with each other on the set, just so like when it's like, oh, the emotional parting is just that more real. It's cool.
Yeah.
I think you were gonna say something as well at some point, right?
No, the thing I was gonna say was gonna be the Ultraseven Yaoi thing. Don't worry.
Okay.
I didn't make a note of it in last week's episode, but when Dan and Soga were sat in the spaceship looking at the stars going, oh, this is absurdly romantic. I was like, excuse me? Excuse me? Hello?
Soga, I feel like, is the hidden gem of this show.
Yeah,
I love Soga so much.
I didn't know he was going to be a guy just because he doesn't have a first name, but like,
sometimes you don't need one.
Yeah, he is definitely one of the guys.
Hell yeah. It almost feels rude to say this because it's fantastic and it's 2 episodes, but like, do we have anything more?
I mean, I think I wasn't sure what the fuck Pandon was when I first saw it. It grew on me a bit. As the episodes went on, but also it's cool to like have it dispatched and like lose an arm and a leg, but then it comes back with like robot arms later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Proper like
it does look like a bunch of raw meat with 2 chicken heads out the side, but I like it a
lot. So apparently it originally was going to have like 2 actual heads.
Did they run out of time?
No, it's just like they couldn't get it to actually move. Like,
okay.
They couldn't get the heads to work together.
That seems like it'd be hard.
Yeah, so they eventually did just like do the thing they did where it's like 2 mouths on like 1 neck head thing. Mm-hmm. They also had like concept art for like a giant alien goes, but that looks very nothing like the same thing. But they also cut it out. I guess they figured they didn't need it when they already had Pandon. So I know. Also, another more trivia I saw was like apparently they filmed the attack and the destruction of the base like way earlier in the show because they only ever really used the set for the base once and just reused footage throughout the show. And they were like, well, I guess we have an excuse to use this now.
Nice. The one last thing I'll say about this is that the scale and just speed of they like go through the plot beats of this final episode especially is I think it's one of my favorite episodes of the show. I think it's fantastic. Like there's just the rapidity of hey, we got missiles aimed at the biggest cities on Earth. We're gonna fucking do it. And then the time to they do it is really not very long.
Yeah.
There's just like it's very casual. It's got like a real I don't know what kind of vibe it has, but it's very powerful to me. It's like, I'm not necessarily saying I'm getting emotional over Paris getting nuked. I mostly think it's funny. But I think as television, I think it's got a lot of momentum and weight. And then that climaxing with the Magmarizer plowing through wall after wall of dirt and rocks, and I'm just like, fuck yeah.
And like Ultraseven breaks into the wall, grabs the mug at the last second.
Yeah, flying through the base is such like this is one thing where the model I think adds to the effect of like because it's not that's not Ultraman, that's a little figure of Ultraman that is like floating through a model.
Ultraseven.
Goodbye everyone. The podcast is wrapping up. That's the episode.
All the way to the end.
Damn it.
I can't wait next week for you to start calling Ultraman Ultraseven.
This will be so funny.
Oh no, it's gonna happen. Okay. Oh well. Rip. But yeah, I think Ultra 7 flying through the base is also part of this. It's just, it's good. It's fantastic.
And then we get the final scene where everyone says goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone says their like individual goodbye to the stars.
Yeah. And Soka's like, if Ultra 7 died because of his injuries, then humanity killed Ultra 7. And then
perhaps this parallels something that Eiji Tsuburaya feels strongly about.
Maybe.
Who's this man Jesus that you want to tell me about?
It is. I do like how it's sort of like ambiguous what the fate of Dan and Ultra 7 is, because like, is he actually going back to his home planet,
or is he dead? Yeah,
healing, or is he dead? And either way, it's kind of like the same result.
I like Kurata's note, which is, I probably shouldn't have called him a piece of shit so much.
Yeah,
it's really, really funny little
He's
arc
like,
that he had here.
Just like, oh hey, that guy who you thought were like endangered everyone by like slacking on, by like messing up on the job. Well, have you considered that he's Ultra 7? Not so good, not so hot now.
I appreciated the degree of finality, like kind of what you said, going off of like how this is like paced and like how fast everything happens too. But this felt like a culmination of the series we watched way more to me than like Ultraman's finale does feel like the end of the show in so many ways. Like, I mean, he dies, comes back, like resurrected, leaves, like that sort of thing. But the ways in which this two-parter brings in so much of what we've seen before, like we have the flashbacks to all of the fights he's gone through. Karada's here. We see V3 for a little bit when he's out on patrol. The Magma Riser gets to make an appearance. I believe the Pointer's here for a little bit. Like, everything in the show up to this point gets to like be a part of this final like two-parter, and like it feels like a victory lap almost in a way that was very satisfying, and I felt like just brought the series to a wrap in a way that I particularly enjoyed, and was like, damn, fucking Ultra 7, what a show.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar from like the mid season finale in like Blazer we saw too, which also brought back a lot of like things from early episodes.
The other thing is like that we could have got the world where the finale of Ultra 7 was like the crucifix episode.
True, we didn't get that.
Sorry, I mean the crucifix episodes. Oh, you are right. We didn't get the crucifixes. I am taking the L publicly.
Okay. We'll figure out. You need to have any prediction now. We can do that later when we're not talking about the finale. We could have had the world where the episode where Ultra 7 was on the crucifix could have been like a finale. And that would have been so much worse. Because like
so much worse.
This like these last like 10 episodes got added on, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, but like I think it got added on like within weeks of the show starting. So,
okay.
So they knew pretty early on they had these extra 10 episodes to work with.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, that's this is the best finale we've seen. Like Ultra Q, amazing show, doesn't really have like a finale.
Week final episode.
Show. It's an anthology show.
Yeah,
like more than anything.
Yeah, it's this is different. Yeah.
I would go as far as to say maybe, while maybe not my favorite show we've watched for this podcast, I think by far Ultra 7 is the strongest show we've watched for this podcast, just in terms of raw quality.
I have not thought about this.
Are we just transitioning to our final thoughts on
Ultra 7? Yeah, I guess we
feel
are.
like now's the time.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot in the back half of the series, because I think personally I'm just always going to be the Ultra Q guy, just because that's where I'm at. But I genuinely do think Ultra 7 is just these people have been refining their craft for months upon months now, between these like shows.
Basically like 2 years at this point.
Yes, exactly. I didn't know exactly how long it was, so I did say years, but it's been 2 years, and I feel like it really shows. These people have gotten so strong at making this type of show, and sometimes here and there, there's a clunker of an episode that doesn't really come together in a way that's satisfying, but it's so much more, like, week to week, like, just guaranteed, like, okay, I'm gonna get something interesting, and it's been very cool seeing them start figuring it out from early on to where they are now, where they're just making really good sci-fi stories like every fucking week that's dealing with something different while still feeling coherent in a way that Ultraman didn't necessarily all the time. Very strong show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe I'm actually not sure. I didn't really think hard about it, but I'm like, maybe I like this more than Ultra Q. I am the person who's like preloaded liking of Ultraman, the formula. So but also Ultra Q is cool. But either way, they're both like very well done shows.
I do not like being the casting vote here.
I mean, we're not doing like a formal Ultra Q
we're not
ranking, right?
We're not, so I can simply hold them. I have two hands. And Ultraman ain't holding either of them.
Well, yeah.
It would have been extremely funny if Red, you're like, I've been thinking on Ultraman, and actually,
I think we're pretty all solid that like Ultraman important, and like in its peaks could be higher than Ultra Q's peaks, but also as a whole, just a messier show.
Ultra mid. No, it's less than mid.
Less?
I don't. I think there's a lot of like I've been thinking about like the episodes of Ultraman that I liked and thinking back and going like, man, we were really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Yeah,
it's fine. You have your personal freedom.
I have my personal freedom. Ultraseven is fantastic. There's like, I would say that the first 10 episodes are fun and interesting. I think there is a dry spell in the teens, and then I think from like the 20s on, this has simply been a fantastic television show.
Yeah.
Alien Zampa aside, and I guess the Kappa episode.
Yeah, I mean,
there's still some singers.
When it's a like an episode, like I was about to say episode of the week. An episode of the week show, unlike other shows. When it's like
syndication.
Yeah, when it's like a modern monster. Words. When it's a monster of the week show, eventually you're gonna get an episode it's just not that great. That's fine. I think the bad episodes of Ultraseven are, on the whole, less outrageously bad than the bad episodes of Ultraman, and also the one, I would say, categorically bad episode of Ultra Q. And I think the highs are like so high. And then I think the mid of Ultraseven is like a show I want to watch. Anyway, this is I made a tweet a while ago that was like, sometimes you watch a 7 out of 10 show and then it ends really well and you're like, well, this is the best show I've ever seen in my life. And I put on shows like K-On! And I put in the original Mobile Suit Gundam, so it gives you the vibe. 7 out of 10 is a compliment, and I would say Ultraseven is like, this is a 7 out of 10 show with like that ends so well, and I'm just like, damn, that was the best show. That was the best thing I've ever seen. It lasts. It'll last for like a week, and then I'll come out of the reverie and I'll be like, that was good. But for that week, man, best thing I've ever seen.
I think it definitely helps that like Ultraseven's team are like guys that are really, they have personalities and stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like we really liked Ide and Ultraman because he was the one guy who got everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's just like, I think there's like some members of the cast who still get the short end of the stick, but like, you know, we still like generally like the whole team here.
Mm-hmm. That one episode with Alien Wild, where Amagi's just like doing like Spock stuff back at the base is. I was just like, oh damn, Amagi's a guy. Oh yeah, I was not expecting this.
I'm happy he was able to get over his childish fear of being blown up.
Very rational.
Yeah.
You simply have to not be afraid of exploding, and then, you know...
I forgot. I just remember that entire episode was about Dan being really into rally racing. And then this fucking dinosaur tank just...
He was like...
this show is incredible.
That episode came in a week that also had another... I feel like I had another fantastic episode. I can't remember that other fantastic episode right now off the top of my head.
Soga's mandolin gun.
Soga's mandolin gun is so... It's fantastic. This show just has a breadth of what it can do, and it just hits all of it.
I do need to...
Great.
I feel like I need to ask. Yuriko and Fuji was no contest, but how do you feel about Arashi versus Furuhashi?
Arashi does not have the mother content.
Yeah, this is funny because for the majority of the show, I actually felt like, man, Furuhashi is just like, I feel like they just allowed this guy to stay on for the next show just to like, as a way to get him like, you know, paid a little bit more to like, you know, whatever, because sometimes they kind of do that with the creative stuff. But then like he did become more of a person from that episode on, I feel, in a way that made me, I think I like him more than Arashi. Weirdly enough, I feel like both of them in their respective shows, I wish had a little bit more time.
Yeah, when they have stuff to do, when he, as though they're two different people, when he has stuff to do, he like, you know, he does a good job. I just feel like they should give him more episodes.
Yeah.
Like the Arashi episode when it ends with him like crying while chanting his chant. I was like, oh damn, all right, he's kind of got it. And then the mother episode, I was just like, oh, him, like his conversation with we joke about the mom episode so much because of the fact he doesn't go and talk to her really. Or like this is like, it's possible that it is supposed to be representative of him talking to her, but like it's like us like joking about him imagining the conversation going really well and going home has completely affected my read of that episode. But I do, you know, outside of that joke, I do think that his conversation with his mum when he's on his way to die and he can't have like a significant conversation with her because it means telling her he's going to die and he doesn't want to do it, is like,
it's extremely good.
It's great.
The one part of this that I do kind of, and like I know I've complained about this before, I don't really care about Kiriyama. Like I don't know, nothing about him ever. I never cared that much.
When I was saying like there was some part of the cast that had like weak points, I was thinking like Kiriyama specifically, like. Mm-hmm. Muramatsu, I think, is like technically still not a guy necessarily, but he just like more stands out more.
He showed
more
up.
Of a presence.
He showed up in that episode, in episode 47, and I was like, oh hey, it's the captain.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I think genuinely, it might not even be that much of a difference in how they're written, as it is that I think maybe Muramatsu's actor just maybe has more of a presence to him, like maybe just sells the like stereotypical like leader boss thing a little bit in a way that stuck with me more. I don't know. But
yeah.
No Gento.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely Dan and more highlights than Haida and Fuji, for sure.
Oh, for sure. I still do oddly think that in terms of, like... I still feel like we haven't topped Yuriko from Ultra Q in terms of giving the female lead
for sure.
agency and respect and things to do.
Absolutely.
Which depresses me because Anne starts so strong. But at the very least, I don't think the show ever treats her as horribly as Ultraman treats Fuji. That was good.
This is the Ultraman treating Fuji badly primed us to like Anne way more, because this show does introduce her as she's in charge of, like, she's the doctor, and then introduce her superior halfway through the show, who just doesn't have a name but is the man in charge of he's the doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. She's like the elite member of the elite team, and she's not in charge. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so bizarre.
But yeah. Dan, MVP.
Dan Moriboshi, what a guy.
Yeah. And like maybe to some degree, that's not fair to Hayata because he was asleep. But yeah. If you think about it, we still don't know Hayata.
Never will.
Never will. It's not even him in Shin Ultraman. They give him a different name.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, do either of you have like one episode specifically that are like, this is my favorite episode of the show? Because for me, I have not been able to stop thinking about the Stolen Ultra Eye. Like, that, something about that one just...
It is really
stuck
good.
with me.
That was good. It's hard for me to pick because I feel like there's a lot of episodes I like. I feel like Pagasa is one that stuck with me even all the way through, and even though we got episodes that are similar to it, I feel like I have a strong like fondness for that episode in particular.
That one set a tone for what the series was going to be in a way that I don't think any of us could have predicted.
Yeah. Like, it really just, like... At first we're like, whoa, it's like the Boltons if smart. But then it was just like, no, there's just like... Well, I guess in a way that is kind of just what it became at the end. There's just a lot more great episodes of Ultraseven. Like, Non-Malta is also good, but I also don't know if I like the episode as much. But that's not just not because the episode's bad or like has weakness points, more just like my tastes, I guess. Or just, people are weird with what clicks with them.
Mm-hmm. The Metron episode is simply fantastic.
Metron's also really good.
I've said it over and over again, is like, the fact that most of these episodes are more expensive than Jisoji episodes is ludicrous to me, because Jisoji's set pieces look better than everyone else's. The fight with the Metron...
The Metron set piece was so good, they redid it for Alien Spill.
Yeah. That whole... The fight in that whole rundown area of town is fantastic. The giant glowing orb of the sun is so ridiculous. And also, obviously, I love the episode with the monkeys. It's my favorite episode of Ultraseven. And I think Goron is my favorite new kaiju, etc., etc.
Damn, even better than Alien Spell?
Even better than Alien Spell.
Yeah.
I
do like the... On the other end of the spectrum, I do like the Dinosaur Tank episode a lot for just being completely ridiculous.
It's absurd. It's amazing. I remember Cydrix emailed in and said, I think that's gonna be one of your favorite episodes. Then I watched it and I'm like, I mean, you're right. Yeah.
I felt extremely called out, but I'm just like, I'm happy people can. I'm happy that we have very easy to call tastes in some ways.
Yeah, and I think the last episode. I was not expecting the finale to be one of my favorites. I really love it. I think Dan just like kind of limping through that whole finale, and like Ultraseven not getting to like these. Like there is a different, obviously there's like a different kind of dignity in fighting through of the struggle instead of like being like so cool that the aliens can't touch you. But it is good. Does that pivot happens? I think like halfway through the show is Ultraseven starts getting beaten up, and I think the finale is kind of like the logical conclusion.
Yeah.
And
It needs to be pointed out that like Pendant does just like hold and step on the eye sucker cope a few times, and it's cool.
Yes, yeah.
Just like the inability of Seven to get it back.
Mm-hmm. And I just think it's cool that they saved the day. That the Ultra Guard saved the day, in like the way that is reasonable and would work at the cost of the one person that of Amagi, and to save Amagi would be a miracle. And it's like, well, that's what Ultraseven does, and Ultraseven will do that. Ultraseven will do that, and that's, instead of defeating the aliens, he will do the impossible thing, and save that one life. And then go off into space. And I think the fact that they will continue to have to fight off threats, it's a different thing to how like someone shoots the special weapon at Zeton,
and then Zeton turns into bit meat chunks.
Yes, it's different because there's the knowledge of like. It's not, we can fend for ourselves now. It's, damn, it's going to be way harder to fend for ourselves without Ultraseven.
Yeah, there's something that clicked with me when you were talking about this. Like, this whole thing works so much better, too. I feel like because we have watched a show that is so much more comfortable showing the ways in which the Ultra Guard and, like, the broader, like, TDF is a flawed organization. And that question of, well, what happens when Ultraseven isn't around anymore? Like, it isn't like Ultraman, where it's just like, oh yeah, humanity can, the cosmos are terrifying, but humanity can fend for itself. It's more
and
like...
Hayate goes, what's that?
Yeah. It is Ultraseven going like, I know that they can be fine without me, but like I can make their lives so much easier, and I can be their protector, and I don't care if it kills me. It's a lot more powerful. It works a lot better. Mm-hmm. That was a long way of me saying it's good when your characters and organizations have flaws, but it is. It adds a lot.
And like we have like the fortunate circumstance of being able to watch Blazer now because standalone, and so we get to see that like that's a thing that's carried over into the future of the franchise, and like I guess we'll see when it doesn't come up again, but like I do feel like Ultraseven doing it this early on will have ramifications for future entries we'll watch, which will be interesting when we get the second coming of Ultraman very soon.
Yeah, and I think it can be you could absolutely play this and it not work. Like this, there are many ways that you could fuck this up. And it will be interesting to see who does and who fucks it up, who nails it as we go. Because I imagine you and Cydrixa have referenced that a recent director on Blazer really his favorite Ultraman is an Ultraman that no one likes.
Well, I mean, it's the lead director of Blazer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we didn't talk about how the original plan for the Gavadon episode of Blazer was going to just be like, oh yeah, this kid's dead and his spirit's back, so they have to destroy the drawings, and everyone rejected it. And his original plan was that.
We shall have to mention that on a Skipping the Queue episode.
Yeah, I meant to do it this week, I just forgot.
Yeah, we completely forgot.
Viewers, remind me 2 weeks from now when there's an actual Blazer episode we can talk about.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do we have anything?
What order do we want to do the other things?
So first off, I want to do the Capsule Countdown roundup.
Okay.
Just finish it off.
Before
we transition to the other 2 segments we got.
So
if you remember, the original intention was to like compare how many times these guys would show up and how long they would last, and calculate who is the biggest jobber. So first off, Wyndham has shown up 3 times. Episode 1, they lasted 1 minute. Episode 24, 4 minutes 32 seconds. Episode 39, 1 minute 6 seconds. For a total time of 6 minutes and 38 seconds. 3 appearances, the average is out to 2 minutes 13 seconds.
Okay.
Miklas, our second guy, showed up 2 times. Episode 3, 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Episode 25, Miklas cheats by being so jobbed out, but Ultraseven forgets to call him back, so somehow he manages to last 10 minutes and 10 seconds, meaning that Miklas lasts a total of 14 minutes and 35 seconds.
Let's fucking go, my boy!
For an average of 7 minutes and 18 seconds.
I guess Razan's famous favorite.
Finally, Agara, our latecomer. Episode 32, 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Then episode 36, for the final Capsule Kaiju. No, 46, never mind. Math. 1 minute, 20 seconds. For a total of 5 minutes, 42 seconds, with an average of 2 minutes, 52 seconds. Which means Miklas is our champion, somehow. And meanwhile, the law of averages and math are not on Wyndham's side, just on account of being in the show more, which means Wyndham is technically the biggest jobber.
I mean, it makes sense. He's the one who fucking dies.
Yeah, he is the one who fucking died. Rip.
So, how many episodes of the show are there again, Mel? Can you quickly remind me?
49. Let me tell you, because I also calculated the gap between episodes. The smallest gap we had was between 24 and 25, 0 episodes between capsules.
Damn.
Follow that, episode 1 to 3, 1 episode between them.
Mm-hmm.
Technically not a gap, but like from episode 46 to the end of the show, that's 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Tied for basically the middle from episode 25 to 32, and from episode 32 to 39, there's 6 episodes in between. Then between episode 39 to 26, 7 episodes. And the biggest gap was between episode 3 and episode 24, where they just went 20 episodes without doing
This means the Capsule Monsters, what the fuck? The Capsule Monsters have appeared in 7 episodes of the show. And
oh my god!
If there are 49 episodes of the show, that means 1 in every 7 episodes has a kaiju, Capsule Kaiju.
Oh, we're seeing the numbers.
Seven.
Yeah, this is where we pivoted to becoming numerology people.
Oh my god!
Lucky number.
We have seen the light.
Who's number 7 on the tree of Separat? I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, so that's the end of that segment. Next week, as you can probably guess, color timers are coming back.
The return of color timers.
If for whatever reason Capsule Kaiju come back, I will keep tracking them again.
This is the most you've ever been owned, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20 episodes. What the fuck are you talking about?
That was honestly pretty funny.
It was every week. It was getting more and more ridiculous.
I feel like the second half is better, like spacing them out, especially if like they didn't want to use them every episode for fear of being repetitive. But like the gap in like the first bit where they just weren't around was insane.
It did get to a point where when they occasionally showed up, I was like, oh, Mel's got something to do.
I genuinely, like, I understand from what you said, a lot of the writers didn't want to use them because they, like, were just like, oh, they just exist to get defeated or whatever, but, like, I'm genuinely a little baffled that nobody could find more imaginative ways to work them into the plots. Like, I feel like there's a lot of wiggle room there, but, like, I guess they just weren't interested, which is fair, I guess, but I don't know. It is the one big thing of the show that feels weirdly like it did not get enough, like from base premise wise, did not get enough play. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm such a big fan of how stupid it is that they introduced a gimmick and then barely used it in the show. It It's very funny. They invented a gimmick and then retroactively realized that they didn't want to. They bought a toy and realized they didn't want to play with it. They were like, "Oh, this gets in the way of writing like interesting episodes. Why did we do this?" It's very, very funny to me. Big fan.
Yeah.
You're in
Yeah, so I guess-
you're kind of master of proceedings. What is our next? What's next on our
Okay.
agenda?
So, pleasure, business, etc. Last time I think for the Ultraman finale, the order we did was Kaiju ranking and then like our skip list. So what are you guys thinking for this time?
Maybe Kaiju ranking, then unmade episodes.
Okay, I think that makes sense to me because also the unmade, I could have put the Kaijus in the unmade episodes in the list, but obviously I didn't because they aren't real. So we can get the Kaiju rankings out of the way first.
Let me open my screenshot folder.
I do we want... How far do we want to go? Because obviously these lists are too long. There are 68 Kaiju here. Do we want to do like bottom 3, top 10?
That works for me.
Yeah. I mean, before we did, I think we did bottom 3, top 15. For Ultraman.
Honestly, I'm
we can
fine
do
going with that.
Yeah,
I'm-
it's like a similar amount. Well, no, this one's like 20 more guys. So
I will start.
I'm guessing this is like going to be the high water mark, just because like we got a lot of episodes with 2 guys instead of 1. Mm-hmm. But
I will start bottom, right at the bottom, 68, Sufflan. I don't even know what this is.
the plan.
It's the plant.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's not how it came back.
I am 95% certain you also had Saflan near the bottom in Ultraman and also said, I don't know what this is. My 68 is Akari. I do not care. It's the blood-sucking things from that one episode.
Yeah. My 68 is Patero.
What's Patera?
Fuck the moon rock.
Oh, yeah, the moon rock. Oh, you hated the moon rock. I mean, mine's low, but it's not the bottom.
Yeah.
67, Goron. Every time I see this stupid thing, I want to punch it. I hate it. I could not convey in the summary because I had to write a summary, but when that thing transformed and it was just big and just had lots of like golden hair, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That was also quite low for me, I want to say.
Yeah, mine is pretty low. It was like 62 for me.
It was 61 for me, and Gory was 63.
But yeah, that's my...
I didn't care for either of those.
Goron, my 67.
My 67 was Spell, and I feel like a large part of that was when I was side by side with things in this order. I was like, I really don't want to pick Alien Spell. It feels weird.
Yeah, I feel that. I felt guilty whenever I picked it over something, but some things I just hated more.
Yeah.
Mine 67 is Akari, which is like Bloodsuckers, and I feel like it should be higher just on account that I look slightly above it and think there are things on this list that I just hate more. And this one I just feel more indifference because it's just like some guys.
My 66 is Gory.
My 66 is Souflan.
Excellent.
My 66 is Alien Wild.
Damn, that low.
Damn.
I really didn't like
you were a wild hater.
Yeah.
All right. Well, top 15 then. I'm gonna tell you right now. Just before we move on. Spell, 57.
57.
There were a lot of things that ranked below Spell in mine.
Spell is like 64 for me, so it's like basically top bottom 5.
I think I ranked everything that was just a person, below Spell.
Yeah, I feel like Amagi and Furuhashi clones are a waste of a slot.
Android 01 got to 29 for me, and as I was doing this order, I was like, I'm a little shocked how much I prefer Android 01 to a lot of the random kaiju in this show.
Yeah, some of these guys are... I think that's also something about Ultraseven, is that not all the guys are classic guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's more classic guys than the original Ultraman, I think.
That's just going to happen when you have this many.
They don't have guys as good as the top 3, though.
I guess we gotta get working on that.
Yeah, top 15. 15, I have Guts. What's Guts again?
The crucifix bird guys.
Oh, yeah.
15 for me, surprisingly, was Aaron, the
Guts decoy robot. The Guts decoy kaiju.
It looks like a little gargoyle thing. I'm actually kind of surprised it got this high.
Mm-hmm.
Number 16 for me. Number 15 for me is Crazy Gone.
Ooh. Nice.
I also just add, like, immediately right below that is Iron Rocks, which is funny.
Oh, man. Iron Rocks, what a guy. 14 for me is Dally, which is the bug inside the vampire lady.
Yes. I don't think that one got high enough for me, but that one was definitely up there. I liked that one.
Yeah, I like that one, but I think it got pretty low for me. For
yeah,
some
it got
reason.
20 for me.
I got like
I like that one a lot, though.
It's in the low 30s for me, and I don't know why, but also, I mean, competition between different guys. It's hard. Sort of logic. It's tricky.
Yeah. My 14 is Alien Bracco. From the farm episode.
Okay.
Which is the one whose face is on his crotch, and the rest of him is just a dumb little, like, pile of rocks looking.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Extremely rosin-coated character.
Silly guy.
Yeah.
My 14 is Miklas.
Ooh, nice. Well done, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Confirmed least rubbish. It was been confirmed by science.
Yes.
13 for me is Borg.
I had Borg at 18. Borg is cool.
I can't remember
is
what
way too low for me.
episode Borg is from.
It's from Operation Cyborg. Soga's like a friend gets hitched, but then
Yes, I do remember. I was just looking at this design and going, "Damn, this rules." Can't remember what episode it's from.
Yeah, no, it's a solid design. And also, like, very different and striking compared to the other, like, robotic, like, types of designs that we've gotten. And I guess it helps that, like, he's an actual alien, so they can be a little more different with it. But
Yeah.
cool design.
Your 14, Razin?
13.
My 14 or 13.
13, yeah.
My 13 is Pandan. I was kind of whatever on Zeton from the Ultraman finale, but, like, Pandan is just a good final monster boss IMO. The fire breathing is really cool. I like that it has, like, the dumb weird, like, 2 mouths thing going on. I like that it comes back with the, like, you know, all healed up or whatever. Good robot, or good robotic, like, bits added to the kaiju design. It's good.
It's a 16 for me, so yeah. Big fan.
Oh, where's Pandan for me? It's somewhere.
It's on there.
Oh, it's actually pretty low. That feels weird. Whatever.
Sort of logic.
No, wait,
It
it says...
happens.
Or no, wait, maybe I can't see it. You know, I'll probably see it somewhere maybe later. Anyway,
See, it is one of those things, though, where, like, outside of the context of the episode, I'm like, this does just look like raw hamburger in the shape of a weird chicken monster thing.
Okay, it's 31 for me. Anyway,
13.
13 for me is Starbem Garon.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. Alright, 12 for me. Imitation Ultraseven. I simply like Ultraseven a lot. I think Ultraseven is a really cool design. I was not a fan of it initially. I thought it looked kind of dumb and silly. These days, huge fan. Love Ultraseven. Which means the imitation makes it high. Ultraseven makes it higher.
That makes sense.
Imitation was 24 for me.
Imitation was 34, but I feel like it'd
It is a
be
cool
a little
design,
higher. I like it. My 12 was Godala, which I'm a little shocked this one got this high, but he does look just like a space ghost, man.
Yeah. Anyway, this is funny. My 12 is Ultraseven.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ultraseven's just good. I love the ice slugger. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love his like shoulder armor. I love that he's a little shorter than Ultraman. It's just good. Where were we? Yes, my 11. Let's go. Dinosaur tank.
Let's go.
My 11, Pegasa.
Nice.
My 11 is Gandar.
Ooh.
Which one's Gandalf?
Gandar's
That's
like
the
a
kaiju
big...
from the Alien Pole episode.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a cool guy.
I'm going to assume Pole is higher, but you don't have to answer.
If it's there, we'll get to it.
My 10, Ella King. The fact that he's a classic guy, makes perfect sense. Ella King's great.
Well, let me tell you about my number 10, Ella King.
Hell yeah.
My number 10 is Alien Shadow.
Oh yeah. It's just, that's a cool episode.
Yeah.
I did think it's funny how we have Shadowman, and Chaplay on the same lineup.
Someone really like shadows.
We have Pega and Pegasa.
True.
We do. My 9 is Starbem Geron.
Let's go.
My 9 was Anon. Creepy ass eye.
The eye rock.
Hell yeah. That made it so low for me. I don't know what happened, but it got stuck below something I didn't like, and I don't know why. But
Sorta logic.
sometimes sorters be like that.
Yeah. My number 9 was our good friend Alien Kanon.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Alright. My number 8, Metron. I love his big, stupid head.
My number 8, Miklas.
Damn.
My number 8. Don't know why it has this name, but it is what it is. Nurse.
Yeah, I honestly, that was the one in the server. I was like, what? I do not remember the context of Nurse at all.
It's the Alien Wild.
It's
saucer
the
dragon.
dragon that curls up into a
it's the
disc.
saucer dragon. Yes.
I remember it very clearly.
Did we even talk about its name in that episode? I don't
No,
know if
we didn't
I don't
know.
even. Yeah, I don't think it even came up. Yeah.
Did not know it was called Nurse.
Me when I call for the nurse at the hospital and this thing shows up. Never mind, I'm fine actually. I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna run.
Now, did you say, was that Mel? Was that your number 8?
Yes, yeah. So you're number 7 now.
Okay, this was not deliberate. My number 7 is Ultra 7.
That's amazing.
I'm so pleased with that. The moment I generated the list, I was like, I feel like I'm not going to be happy with this because I feel like maybe the sorter kind of fucked me in a couple of places, and then I saw Ultra 7 was 7, and I was like, this is it, baby. This is locked in.
I'm just imagining an alternate reality of Red chain smoking cigarettes. Like, come on, this time Ultra 7's gonna land in the 7th spot. Come on, just doing this sorter over and over again.
Oh man,
my 7 is lost member of Daft Punk, Shoplay.
Hell yeah.
That is a good suit.
I love that suit. I love that episode.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I take into account episode context along with looks. So Shoplay got lower despite its appearance being really cool.
Mm-hmm.
My 7 is King Joe.
Hell fucking yeah, it is. What a guy.
What a guy. Classic.
Joe. When you told me what his name was, rapture, just like pure ecstasy. I was like, excellent. King Joe. Of course he's called King Joe. Oh man. All right. My number 6, Alien Pole.
Let's go.
My number 6, Starbem Giron.
Nice.
My number 6 is Wyndham.
Ooh.
Damn. We got
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. We got a couple of capsule kaiju lovers over here. I don't think a single one made it above like 20 for me. So I have Wyndham at 24. I think that's the highest they got.
I have Agura at 36, and where the fuck is Wyndham even at? Let me see if I can...
Agura is 17. I guess I do like the Capsule kaiju.
Well,
Wyndham at 32.
You were unfortunately way more invested.
Yes. I was more invested than the show was, that's for sure. All right, top 5. Let's
Top
go.
5. I'll tell you why I remembered Nurse. I really like Nurse. Nurse is my number 5.
I'm just gonna say, I feel like my top 5 is the most extremely anyone who knows me even a little bit could have called this, and I'm very happy about that. My number 5 is Dinosaur Take.
Excellent.
Amazing. My number 5 is Alien Pole.
Excellent. Fantastic. These are the results we like to see.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Kanan.
Ooh, wow,
Nice.
that's high. I do not disagree. Kanan was actually a lot lower than I expected
Yeah.
for me, but Kanan's good.
Kanan's good.
very
I'm trying to keep Ultraseven content separate from like Blazer context, obviously, but you know,
Yeah,
Kanan is so good.
when their design, the context of their design being old, like really suddenly like seeing them in the context of like an old show, I appreciated them in like a way different way than I did in Blazer. I really like this design. I think it's the best of the aliens. There's just like the normal sized aliens. IMO.
My number 4 was Metron. I like Metron a lot. There's like a cool, like, I can't remember what, it's like a Kaiju reimagined line thing that they do that like are supposed to like make like kind of more horror inspired like takes on the alien and Kaiju designs from Ultra stuff. And they're kind of expensive statues. There's a really cool one of Metron, and I've had to stop myself multiple times from making an impulse purchase online. So
Nice.
Metron, good, funny hot dog man. Great episode. Love him to death.
I definitely agree with that take because my number 4 is also Metron.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, top 3. My number 3. He's the king, baby. King Joe.
Let's go.
I respect
What a
it.
good robot. Not even. Spoilers for my top two. It's not even the best robot in the show.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
Damn.
I'm surprised King Joe was 31 for me, and I'm surprised he wasn't higher. I had Crazy gotten higher than King Joe. That feels wrong.
What do you mean it feels wrong? It feels right.
Spoilers for it. Raz, when you go with number 3.
I didn't even realize I did this. Back-to-back Jisoji brothers. Paralinga is my number 3. What a fucking weirdo.
Nice.
I love him so much. I love how he just bullies the sad
It's
man.
so good. It's just like, go, here's a phone. Call them. See if they believe you. They fucking won't.
So funny.
It's good.
Also, one of the more surreal and out there fight scenes in the show, and I love it a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I really thought my number 3, I thought for a long time is going to be number 1. But when I did this order in my heart, it just ended up this way, but it still feels right. But anyway, it's still number 3. So anyway, number 3 goes to Dinosaur Tank.
Excellent.
Yes.
You simply put a dinosaur on a tank, and Toru Narita has to be miserable and make it. And life is
And he
good.
quits the show.
Yeah. It's so good. All right. My number 2. This is we are truly redcore with this entry. Iron Rocks.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Oh, I wonder where your number 1 is. Oh, who can say?
You simply pull the battleship Yamato from the depths and make it a kaiju, and you got a fucking banging episode of television. What can I tell you? That's how it is.
Iron Rocks is good.
Iron Rock's pretty good.
My top two are so damning. My number 2 is Alien Cool.
What?
Listen, he's cool.
He's cool. He's cool. Wait, is your number one the other puppet one?
I think dude,
see.
we're not there. I think there's something we said like, Alt Q had Gomez and Litra, Ultraman had Bamular, and Ultraseven had Alien Cool as the first thing.
Okay, so I've already spoiled what my number. Oh, Mel, did you say your number 2? Yeah, sorry.
No, I didn't.
Go ahead.
So my number 2 is. I didn't think this would be that high, but then I saw it next to Dinosaur Tank, and I was like, I think I do like this one more. He's a classic guy. My number 2 is Ella King.
Oh, that's Ultraman fan opinion, of course.
You know what? Yeah, I think there is a degree to which I'm like.
I mean, the
Ultraman classic guys do. I do kind of get them.
I mean, you got it. It's a classic guy.
Yeah.
And he is good.
He is good.
So here's the thing. I have already spoiled what my number 1 is. It's Crazy Gone. But I am now sat here, and I think Razen's number 1 is Alien Pole.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Listen,
Thank you so much.
I sat here and I thought long and hard about it. And I'm just like, I just think he's the best.
I do want Red to expand more on Crazy Gone. Not that they need to, but also because I do want to hear their words.
It's a fucking garage door with legs. It shows up. It's just deposited on the ground, and then its legs just emerge as it stands up, and then it just shovels cars into its mouth, which is a giant door.
For fuel. You know what? You are right. Crazy Gone is way cooler than King Joe.
Crazy Gone is very good.
The cool thing about King Joe is, like, without a hint of irony, the assembling robot stuff, like pure getter mode stuff, and it's a really cool robot. The part of me was like, Iron Rocks is number 1, and fortunately that part of me did not win. So Iron Rocks is number 2. Crazy Gone number 1. What a cool robot. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Can you guys, any of you guess what my number 1 is?
Okay, so what have we had so far? We've had Pole, we've had Ella King, we've had we've had Geron, we've had Dinosaur Tank.
I'm looking.
We've already had
curious.
Metron, right? Your Metron was number 4 or 3. What hasn't been mentioned?
It's not Platic.
Oh yes.
Oh God, are you serious?
No, I think she's just doing the shit post.
Okay.
Is it Pegasa?
Rajan, do you have a guess?
I think it. Yeah, I would have to go with Pegasa.
Okay, it's Pegasa.
How glad we were able to manage that.
Foreshadowing from earlier,
yes.
Unintentionally, but yeah. Turns out I just really like this sad guy whose city gets blown up.
Yeah, he's good. It's good. Yeah.
A lot of banging kaiju.
There are.
A lot of mid ones too. We only covered the makers, really.
Yeah, the mid ones, there's kind of a real, like, mix of them in there. I think it's a crime that Chaplay made it so low on my list. 53. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, to be fair, he does only exist for 2 seconds.
Yeah, he exists.
He does get shot
he
in the dick, like, right away.
He exists for 2 seconds. He exists for just long enough to say, haha, I've got you now. And then Soga and Anne just go, oh, we should shoot him. And they shoot him.
It's so fucking good.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we should transition towards the unmade episode.
Yeah.
slash the dramatization.
So-
how do we want to do this first?
I mean, I guess we should explain what happens in it.
I mean, the wiki
Yeah.
does have a summary of this episode that we watched a 5-minute dramatization of, so I can link that.
Yeah, let me read that. I'm happy to get the wiki in. All right. While rock climbing one day, and oh my god, this is the whole thing. I think this is the whole thing. Is it not?
Yeah.
I think this is just... Is this not just the script written out?
Basically, I think it might be.
Okay, I'm going to very quickly read this. While rock climbing one day, Anne Yuri falls due to some weathered rock and gets separated from her group. After wandering, she comes across a mansion. Entering, Anne is choked by an armored human, a servant to the Torques. When it is stopped by an unnamed Torque, as he believes Anne to be his deceased sister, Shissy. That's not how that's spelled, I don't think. When talking to each other, Torque explains his outrage towards humanity as his and Shissy's... this is not the script. I confirmed as his and Shissy's parents and their colleagues, that says colleges, were murdered by human after they set their residence on fire. Concerned for Anne's safety, Dan and Furuhashi head out to look for her. While Furuhashi distracted, the armored human... Dan rescued Anne and retrieved a note. Back at the Ultra Guard HQ, they examine the note and find out that the Torques came from another planet similar to that of Earth and wanted to come to Earth to learn more about the inhabitants and possibly become allied forces. However, they were surprised to find out that Earthlings had a tendency to sell weapons and kill each other without remorse. As such, they took refuge in the mountains and created a private settlement. It's still settled. That's weird. Just then, some personnel report that shadowy figures on horseback were looking for Anne, still under the impression that she was... I keep saying Shissy. That's not the name, right?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
To be honest, the episode isn't real.
The sister.
The sister, thinking it was the sister. Anne picked up a silver flute that she had recovered along with the note and left after him. When outside, Torque reveals to Anne that his orange appearance is a remnant of the damage he sustained when most of the settlement was burnt down. He also reveals that his race abandoned weaponry 3,000 years ago in order to sustain peace, but that humanity can't seem to live without it. He persists even when Anne finally refers to him as her brother. He next reveals that he has spent the last 300 years finishing his colony's goal of creating the ultimate weapon to destroy humanity if it was ever needed, which he now believes is that time. Captain Kiriyama forms a plan to kill the alien by having Anne lure it toward the mansion with the flute and shoot it with a hive of agitate.
Oh, what? It's amazing how most of this is not in the dramatization movies.
I was about to say, I don't remember any of this, and I just watched it.
Most of this is not in it, especially not the bit about shooting it with a hive of agitated bees. I'd love to know what the source is on this.
Kiriyama's like, we have reason to believe that this will cause an allergic reaction. This motherfucker's life is over.
Yeah, I do want to have information on why this summary on the wiki is more detailed than the dramatization.
Anne was reluctant to do so, but maybe it would not have come across as dramatic if it was like this. But persevered with Dan's support. After luring it within range of fire, everyone getting everyone but Torque out of the way, a shot was taken and was a direct hit. Fucking news talking about cops.
I was about to say.
Well, that's what the Ultra Guard are.
Well, yeah, it's true. You're not wrong.
Alien talk passed away.
After discharge of super weapon. Now dying, Torque gave out one final cry for his sister before falling over dead. From his dead body, however, comes a demon-like giant version of himself. He chases after Dan and Anne and tries to crush them with his newly attained hammer. Anne escapes, but Dan falls off a cliff near the mansion where he transforms into Ultraseven whilst falling.
That's very funny.
That is that's good. That's some like Ultraman style. Oh no, Ultraseven does it. Ultraseven does it. The two battle, leading to Torque being set on fire once again, and Seven being tied up in Torque's body cloak, immobilizing him. Anne calls out to him and claims that this isn't the way to get revenge. This act loosens his grip on Seven, allowing him to break free and finish Torque off with a shot from his Imerium. What the hell is an Imerium beam?
Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. And then remarks, hatred made Talk a demon to love and forget. Talk, please go to heaven. You were a very friendly brother. I suspect that's not exactly what is said.
I mean, something else was around those lines, but not the same was said in the dramatization.
What is the source on this?
I have no idea. I want someone to tell me.
Because that is so much more specific than the dramatization we watch.
And there's definitely not a source on this wiki page.
No bees.
No bees.
I didn't know about the bees. I was just like, oh yeah.
Where did the bees come from?
So how was the dramatization, guys?
The trivia says in the manga adaptation of this episode.
Oh my fucking god.
So is it from the manga? And if so...
We've spoiled ourselves on the manga.
I mean, we're not reading the manga version of Ultraseven.
This is true.
So.
This is true. But that's really funny.
But also, there's part of me that's like, how much liberty was taken?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, like, first of all, before we get into, like, the trivia, how do you feel about the dramatization of the episode and the picture of this episode that you get?
It's fine. I imagine it would have been a decent episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, like, that's my thing watching that dramatization or whatever. I was like, this is so loose and could have been anything that I don't feel any which way about, like, because it's so far removed from what, like, a full version would have looked like that I'm like, I don't know how I would have felt about it, honestly. It seemed like a solid premise.
It turns out what we would have felt about it is, why are there bees?
Okay, if the bee thing was real, that would have been incredible. I would have popped off.
Yeah. Oh, just that woman very calmly reading out about the bees. Oh my god, that would have been great.
So I guess now I should transition to the actual like bit of this. Yeah. So that episode was called, or was going to be called, "Revenge of 300 Years." The screenplay was by Shozo Ohara, and the planned director was Samaji Nonagase.
Okay.
It was going to have production number 23.
So it would have been a pretty mid episode, is what you're saying.
maybe. So the origin of this dramatization was from Ultra Hero and Legend, apparently, from Anta 7, the one that documentary thing I ripped about a month ago. This is also the episode that's the source of like Cedric's original sin of describing an event as dramatized in the Ultraseven I love and people assuming it was fact even though it wasn't real.
Oh my god.
Because the Ultraseven I love also depicted like the behind the scenes and the cancellation of the episode, but they like said they dramatized it by saying, oh, the episode's cancelled because there was an accident with a giant 7-hand prop that almost suffocated Anne, and Eiji Sarai was like, oh, we can't do this and we can't use this prop again.
I see.
But that didn't happen. It's not real.
Oh, this trivia is on there.
It's not real. That was only for the Ultraseven I loved. The actual reason was disagreements between Iwahara and Onagase, as well as budget constraints. It's just like the most normal reason to cancel the episode.
Thank you, Cedric, for spreading misinformation on the internet.
Yes. Oh, that rules. That is the funniest, like, this is peak, like, someone taking the Tomino manga and, like, using it for historical facts. Like,
he sent guys out of the room and then started talking about the secret civilization.
Yes.
So, I mean, this, obviously, theoretically, this is the opposite of why wikis exist, but also it is very funny.
Yeah. Apparently the armored man suit, because that was the thing in this episode, was repurposed to make alien Borg.
Okay.
There's like two design versions, because like they made different suits for Ultraseven I loved and for this dramatization. Subjects have told me that like the one in the dramatization is closer to the original designs, which is interesting, but you know. Also, Uehara later admitted that he regrets not being able to make this episode because, you know, he's like, you know, much like Tetsuo Kinjo, Uehara is from Okinawa and like has that perspective that he tries to put in his work. So, yeah, and that is one of the unmade episodes, and now I will go through the rest of them.
Okay.
And so my source for this was the Japanese Wikipedia page for Ultraseven, which I had to use DeepL to translate and make sense of.
Oh, you know my struggles now.
Yeah. The first one is called Challenge of Light and Shadow, with a screenplay by Keisuke Fujikawa. This was from before the show was called Ultraseven, so in the plot summary, he's called Redman instead.
Nice. That's me, sometimes.
Sometimes. In this episode, it was confusing to me. It seemed like Anne was going on a date with Dan, and it didn't go well, I think.
No.
And then somehow she gets caught in the battle between two aliens from the alien SS race. I don't know why it's called that. But they're yeah, they're called the Shine and the Shadow clans, basically, and both sides want to plunder the Earth, but also don't want the other one to do it.
Oh, that's fun.
And so one of the Shadow aliens kidnaps Anne and kills one of the Shine aliens. Dan transforms into Redman and fights the Shine and kills a few, and then fights Shadow. But then one of the Shines comes and avenges his friend, and then Dan blows up, goes into Ultra Hawk, and blows up the saucers at the end. There isn't much to do for this one.
Mm-hmm. It's
the next one. Yeah, the next one is fun because it fits the theme of a few of these, which are this becomes a different episode.
Mm-hmm.
See if you can spot which this one becomes. This one's called The Drifting Planet.
Uh-oh.
I wonder.
I'll tell you what, it was not worth converting it into another new episode.
So eventually becomes The Strolling Planet, draft by Kunio Torame apparently, but the screenplay is by Masahiro Yamada.
Mm-hmm.
And in the early draft, the planet in question was called Manda's Island. But in this draft, one of Jupiter's moons, Dylan.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Disappears from space and appears in Tokyo Bay. The Ultra Guard goes on recon and meets Alien Mandela, and they warn him that this satellite is being controlled by the invisible monster Riga. Dan sends out Pagos, the Kaiju monster, and fights Riga because he drops the Ultra High. Eventually transforms and beats Riga, and then Dylan goes back to Jupiter.
Did you say Pagos?
Yeah.
Like the Pagos
that we were from? We talked about this.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I also did.
Yeah, so eventually this becomes...
Strolling Planet.
Yeah, with even like the dragon keeping more or less the same name.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Human Thief, with the screenplay Etsuo Kenjo and the plan director being Toshitsugu Suzuki.
As opposed to most thieves.
Number 14.
As opposed to most thieves.
Yes. Yes. Actually, the meaning is different than you expect.
Uh-oh.
So there's a series of incidents where infants are abducted from their cribs.
I see.
Meanwhile, Soga gets caught in a landslide and then gets captured by the alien Lupin, who are living in a mountain cabin with all these abducted babies. The aliens have a plan to use humans as a food source, and they want to kidnap babies and test the viability of this plan.
Mm-hmm.
Soga tells the Ultra Guard about it, and the aliens try to leave Earth with their plunder. They send a human-sized kaiju called Gander, not to be confused with the other one, to destroy the TDF radar room. 7 beats Gander and then beats the alien Lupin.
There's a couple of episodes kind of similar in Ultraseven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This we get... Next one, technically in the production order, is Revenge of 300 Years. We already covered that.
Mm-hmm.
But, related to Alien Borg, there's Half Human, which is later get reworked into Operation Cyborg. Screenplay by Keisuke Fujikawa. Plan director was Toshitsugu Suzuki. In this one, the aliens are Alien Zamba. Question mark? No relation to Zampa? I don't know. Could have used the name. Set off a bomb. The difference between this one and Operation Cyborg is the Zampa are trying to collect corpses to make into cyborgs, so they bomb a high-rise, or try to, and then Seven fights them in a building at night. And also, in the resolution of the episode, Nogawa doesn't get changed back into human, but gets transferred to space.
Okay.
Sound, what's going on here?
Yeah.
This other one, Golden Seeds, with screenplay by Masahiro Yamada. There's a series of incidents where boys go missing after winning golden seeds from a weekly magazine. The seeds are actually from a plant kaiju called Gobi, sent by the alien Gobura. The alien Ultraguard rounds up the Gobi plants and burn them, but the Gobi comes back because there's a boy named Akira who wants to spare the seeds. Seven can't fight Gobi and keeps jobbing, so Kiriyama goes on TV to tell the kids, hey, please stop wishing the seeds for 10 minutes. And then in the 10 minutes, without the kids' wishes, Gobi loses power and gets defeated.
That's
I feel like I would have enjoyed this one.
This one's so ridiculous.
yeah.
I feel like we'd say
Kids, you got it. Stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
This one is another weird one. I tried to read it as Red Swarm. The translation that we got from D-Bell is Red Herring or Herd, but based on the episode plot, I think Red Swarm is probably more accurate. Screenplay, Keisuke Fujikawa. Furuhashi is transferring 2 hives of bees for research from the 2 base, but then they
Just got wrapped up with 300 years. It's like, what are we doing with all these leftover bees?
they get stolen, and then Takanaka, our friend Jun, is held responsible for this. And also Furuhashi lost his memory of the incident. The culprit is someone who is unfortunately named Black Man.
Oh dear.
Oh.
No indication of if there's a person or an alien or what. It's just the katakana says Black Man.
Yeah.
The bees are mutated with wastewater from a nearby chemical plant, and they become red bees, and they're being manipulated to attack people by Black Man. Ultraguard tracks down Black Man's base using a transmitter that happens to be on Furuhashi. So Dan and Furuhashi go and catch him. Seven somehow freezes the mutant bees and also blows up Black Man's hospital helicopter. This episode was rejected because it was technically impossible to represent all those bees with special effects.
I want to believe both this and the other one were just people being like, this bee stuff is gonna be real hard.
Can't do bees. Haven't you heard? Didn't anyone tell you about 300 years of revenge?
Here's another one. Mysterious Monster Zone. Screenplay by Keisuke
Whoa,
Fujikawa
hang
and the
on.
plan director.
The Mysterious Monster Zone.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had episodes called that.
Plan director was Tochizuku Suzuki. Production number 37. Alien Hippok is a race that shows up on Earth and starts turning people into kaiju. Also, they breathe white smoke, and oh no, Soga has breathed in the smoke.
Uh-oh.
And now he starts turning into a monster himself, like a were-alien thing.
Oh, this is cool.
The Ultraguard attacks the Hippok base, and Seven has to fight their guard kaiju, Yamo. Seven tries to shoot a beam at Yamo, but it gets deflected with the kaiju's eyes, I think, and then the beam hits half-transformed Soga, and then Soga turns back to normal. Because I guess this Ultra Beam has that power, and then
It's the healing hands.
Seven uses the beam and turns Yamo back into a gecko.
I see.
Yeah. This next one, The Cry at the Bottom of the Lake. Now see if you get deja vu. Screenplay, Keisuke Fujikawa. Plan director, Toshizutsu Suzuki. Production number 37.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Dr. Godai lives near Mountain Lake. Unfortunately for him, the lake is home to the aquatic alien Pinya, who kidnaps his daughter Miyako. Pinya wants to move to Earth, but needs to sterilize the water to do it, so they want Godai to give them this special ore he discovered with, Miyako as a hostage. The Ultraguard use a lake bottom research ship to go in and blow up the base. Apparently, Dan was on the base disguised as Godai. I don't know the context, because, this is not a real episode. Pinya retaliates by sending out its guardian kaiju, Yamo. Seven defeats Yamo and rescues Miyako.
They really wanted this Yamo guy.
Apparently, after several iterations, this is what the draft for Mysterious Monster Zone became, despite being very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fujikawa apparently later said that this episode was canceled shortly before production because they were, it was an underwater episode. They needed to book a pool for filming, and the pool they were going to do it was completely booked, and they couldn't actually do the filming. So instead, they had to there was a different episode I guess they needed a quick turnaround on. And they picked one that happened to have no kaiju in the script, and that episode became Stolen Ultra Eye.
Let's go. I'm so happy that pool was busy.
Also, I mentioned this last week. but the Pinya suit was eventually reused and recolored for Alien Paralinga.
That.
Yeah, I think I showed that to Razin last week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one. The Great Torrent. Screenplay by Bunzo Wakatsuki, and the plan director is Kazuho Matsuda. Production number 43. Dan is doing glider training while on vacation, then gets dragged into a lake by alien Bandora, who the summary says they became policemen. I'm guessing they can be disguised as policemen or something. I don't know. Furuhashi rescues Dan. Dan gets the Ultra High. No, Dan drops the Ultra High at the bottom of the lake. Meanwhile, the Kaiju Bandora, not the alien, the different entities, shows up and destroys the dam. Dan has to dive to the bottom of the lake to grab the Ultra High and transform, but then his leg gets caught in a chain. There's no explanation of what happens after this. But it's okay. The episode eventually got heavily reworked into Challenge from the Underwater.
Yeah, the Kappa episode.
The Kappa episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yes.
he gets chained to the bottom of the lake in that one.
Yeah, and that's also the case where the alien and the Kaiju have the same name.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the big one.
The big one.
Alien 15 plus Monsters 35. Screenplay Shozo Uzuhara and Takashi Kawasaki. Director Ajiki Ojisoji. Production number 43. Do you remember this one?
Yes, is this the one where it's just like, what if fucking all of them came? Like,
Yes.
All the Kaiju.
So, alright, so here's the plot summary. Seven's tracking down the alien Boltons and has a fight with 7 Kaiju. He takes out 6 of them but is seriously injured and taken to a medical center for rest. Meanwhile, an attack is launched by the Space Allied Force, an alliance of 15 alien races led by the Boltons. The alliance gathers to the base of Mount Fuji and arrives an army of 35 Kaiju. Tokyo falls into anarchy as waves of saucers and 30 Kaiju show up to attack. Pigmon pitches an attack
Oh my fucking God.
to the TDF to spray Tokyo with a stimulant. This has the effect of having the Kaiju fight one another, and the aliens are caught in the middle. Dan is somehow lost, but escapes the base with the help of Pigmon. He summons Agur and Wyndham, and despite his injuries, transforms into Battle 7 himself. He manages to beat most of the Kaiju, including the Boltons. However, he struggles with the 5 remaining Kaiju: Pegula, Naranga, Red King, Geronimon, and Ella King. Suddenly, a new Kaiju called Goat shows up from Venus and defeats the reigning Kaiju and then leaves.
that last part was really fucking weird, but aside from that, this sounds amazing. This also is the most a child wrote this, and there's no way in hell this could have feasibly been made.
Remember, the backstory of this episode was Soji was like, well, it's either this or my Alpha Phillips. So.
Yeah.
Damn.
Just as a note, first off, fun fact, down the road, Uehara, who would later go on to write stuff for Toei, he would say that this planned episode inspired the first episode of Mega Beast Investigator Juspian, the 1985 Toei Tokusho, and the 4th entry of the Metal Hero series.
Classic.
Yeah. I mean, it is technically classic, but yes.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's good.
Yeah. He's licensed by Discodeck, actually, so.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
So there would have been more Kaiju than this, but do you want to list the confirmed Kaiju that would be in the episode?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Alien Bolton, Coronia, Gygas, Gango, Kayla, Wu, Alien Mephiles, Red King, Teleston, Geronimon, Pegula, Skydon, Zumbolar, Saigo, Gorgos, Totala, Ella King,
Yes!
Gessera, Pestar, Pigmon, Alien Pegasa, Alien Godala, Alien Spell, Alien Icarus, Alien Borg, Gandor, Gyaradoris, Naranga, Wyndham, Agura, and then Goad.
All right, we welcome Toddler. Get Geronimon out of here.
Yeah.
Were there any of those you don't remember the name of? Because there are a few of them from Ultraman who are like not notable guys.
There were a few, but I'm getting the picture.
Okay.
I was about to say I got just enough to paint a picture in my head.
Yeah. There was also an adaptation of this that they made in 2007 in the magazine called Figure King, and they called it Goad Scroll. They changed things up in this one because, original manga thing based off a not real thing. I include some new races like Alien Chibul, Alien Zampa, Alien Bado, Alien Salome, Camular, Chemular, Gabara, Dinosaur Tank, Riga, Patero, and Panton. Also, apparently in this one version, Pekka and Total are dead, and who was an enemy, even though they weren't in the original question mark. But also they gave a design for Goad, which is interesting, and I'm gonna link that. I don't know if like the design predates the if like the design there was an old design that they reused when making the thing, or if it's like if they just made it new. But here's like the design they had for Goat.
Yeah.
No.
Pretty cool.
Here's like a figure they made. Obviously, 2007, different vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the first one, I was like, this is like...
Yeah, I'm not sure how old that drawing is, but
Yeah. No, this is a vibe.
Yeah. It is funny that his cool dragon from space just comes to Earth and fucks off.
It honestly is extremely funny.
I'm glad. I think you can tell why, even though this was a thing they obviously didn't make and it was kind of, I guess, pitched as a joke more than anything. It was also like, it did stick with people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more summary and then a couple other things. Identification tag number 3. This one was credited to Tetsuo Kinjo in a script collection released in 1984 called the Tetsuo Kinjo Scenario Collection Ambassador of the Non-Malt. But actually it was written by Shigetsumatsu Taguchi, who was an assistant director of special effects who hadn't written any of the episodes. The plot is Captain Makino is a guy who returns as a sole survivor of an expedition for Planet Y. He's praised as a hero, but unbeknownst to everyone, Makino had let a member of his team die by letting them fall down a crevice and leave them for death to escape. Makino was later attacked and killed by an invisible kaiju named Jackie, who had been tamed by the spirit of one of the team members. The team member had ID tag number 8 and returned to the Earth to her revenge on Jackie. Jackie's eventually defeated by 7, and then all the team member spirits return to space and leave behind their ID cards.
Alright.
Also, fun trivia, Planet Y is first mentioned in Alien Metron episode as the source of space opium.
Oh. Was not expecting that callback.
Continue. Remind me to give an update on what I think about that, because I have new thoughts.
Okay. Just finally, there's 2 manuscripts by Jun Higashima. There's no plot summaries. We just have the names. One's called Save the Aliens, and the other's called Aim for Dan Moriboshi.
Nice.
And that's it. Those are the unmade episodes.
So, and this is we had to go through hell and back with Kinjo for me to come to this conclusion. Is just Kinjo is not just talking. He's not just talking about America. Obviously, he's not. When it's he's not just talking about the West. He's not just talking about Britain, etc. He's because there's American stuff in that episode with like the cigarettes and like the Coca-Cola, so the Western stuff, and tobacco was like a problem. It was a thing that the government attempted to ban many times over the years in Japan, when it first got introduced, and now it's like smoking central. The opium being like the operative word that was absolutely sending me spiraling out of control with confusion, just makes perfect sense when you just remember, oh yeah, Kinjo isn't just talking about the West. He's talking about Japan, because Japan was involved. Japan was
yeah, I remember you edited it in yourself.
I read it. Yeah, I read a book. It was I did not finish reading that book, but I
get on my level. I read Orientalism for this podcast.
You did. You did.
I read Guerrilla Warfare, not for this podcast, but
I read 40k novels. That's really sad. It's like, god damn. No, I did. I did go on to read some of that book. It was interesting. I should get back to it. Yeah, the getting like the non-malt episode as well in particular was just like, oh right, yes, Kinjo wrote the Metron episode. So it's also about Japan did it too. Okay, yeah, it makes perfect sense. So yes,
Yeah, to his people even.
yeah, the episodes just like that's just a fantastic episode. Like I don't have any confusion anymore about it. Yeah. Well,
I am curious, and I guess this is a logical place to insert this. I'm curious how much of these people are going to make the return for Return of Ultraman.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see, right?
It might just be a whole new slate.
Yeah.
Like, in a lot of ways. There's a break between.
This really was like, to some extent, the Suzuki Kinjo show.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's really good for it.
Yeah, same with I feel like oh god, why am I blanking on his name? Kazuho Mitsuda. Huge chunk of these episodes were directed by him as well. And I hope
That might
to
have been who I
see
meant.
him.
Why did I say Suzuki?
Well, Suzuki was the other one
Okay.
who a shocking amount of this, like, percentage-wise of this show, like, flip a coin, like,
Mitsuda,
almost 50%
Suzuki.
chance it's Mitsuda or Suzuki. Yeah, they are directing so much of this. And again, I know we talked about this before, but I find it so fascinating that these are the two that were brought on in Ultra Q and Ultraman as more like backup directors or like assistant directors, and they're like, hey, you guys make good stuff, just like take over for an episode or whatever. And then they just gave them a playground to work with Ultraseven, and I respect that a lot, actually. I think that this show is proof, like, when you acknowledge that the people working for you have talent and can take that next step into a more direct, like, leadership type position or taking on more responsibility, you get good stuff out of it. I genuinely think Super Riot Productions has been pretty good with that and recognizing where their talent is and getting people into places where they can make the things that they want to make and make them well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be exciting seeing how this things go as time goes forward.
Yeah.
Especially because probably some of these guys will die. Or are dead.
Jesus Christ.
Like, yeah.
No, but yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's just the reality that, like, as you get to, like, the 80s and 90s, there's going to be different people in these shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like AG Subarai.
Yeah, well, yeah. Speaking of that, next week, he's no longer going to be in the
Yeah,
shows.
he dies and goes straight to heaven. Catholic heaven. And he smiles down on us to this day, willing us to convert.
You haven't yet.
We haven't yet. We'll see. All right. Well, are we kind of done talking about Ultra 7?
We got a couple of emails.
Oh, Jesus, right. Emails.
Ooh,
Yes, I
let's
completely forgot.
fucking go.
Emails. That's fun.
It's finale.
Shoot.
We got one from Cross Zeta.
Ooh, hello.
Hello.
Their bottom 3 kaiju. Topedo. The Kappa.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, like, the alien. Gory number 2.
That was like my bottom 5th was Topedo.
Topedo is a bit cheap. Number 1 is Chibol.
Ooh, Chibble.
The brain alien.
Oh, yeah. I don't like Chibble. I don't.
It's weird.
I also
Weird
don't.
texture head, too.
Yeah. That feels like it should be a Rosin Core one, but just isn't.
It feels racist. I mean, it's got Mr. Popo vibes to me.
Oh, okay. Top 5 are Paralinga.
Hell yeah.
Number 4, Maya the Bengalan.
Ooh.
Number 3 is Metron.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is Pandon-san.
Nice.
Nice Anamura pick. Number 1 is Ultraseven / Stan Moroboshi.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. They also say, hello, Ultra Q. Damn, I can't believe the Ultra Guard killed Dan Moroboshi. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
True.
He says, This series is my favorite of the early Show Ultra shows. Kenjo Wakatsuki and Jisoji's writers really brought a lot to the show, and Koji Moritsugu's performance as Dan is truly the heart of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely agree.
They say our coverage of Ultraseven was the first time they've seen the show entirely in order. Show Ultra was harder to come back in the day, and as a kid, they owned select episodes, and they enjoyed our coverage of Seven, and are looking forward to return.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It is, like, that is something that I feel like I definitely, like, I know I've seen every episode of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I did not watch them necessarily in order.
That was me with
you know what I
Yu-Gi-Oh!
mean?
Too.
Yeah, like, that's such a thing, and, like, it makes sense for these shows, especially, like, catching just random bits or pieces, or, like, especially as a kid, being a kid past when they were airing, even, like, oh, you just get whatever's at, like, the video rental store or whatever's in, like, a collected, like, VHS or what, you know what I mean? That is such an interesting way to think about how you go through one of these shows. Is like
it
bits and
was
pieces
very
like
interesting to watch the first episode of Columbo and realize that it was an episode I had seen on TV before, and I was just like, oh, well, I didn't understand the significance at the time.
All right, next we got Cedric writing in 7 is over party.
Yeah. 7 is never over, not in my heart.
Well, we do have more 7 later, but, down the road.
Oh, by the way, Cydrixa, I do know what a Brucey bonus is. Thank you. Would anyone like me to explain what a Brucey bonus is?
Yes.
Yes.
I would. I am shitting you not. I've been wondering about this all week, but not enough to look it up. I wanted you to explain it to me.
Bruce Forsyth, and he is a famous TV presenter in Britain, and he is now dead. But for a very long time, he presented a show called Strictly Come Dancing, which you might know as Dancing with the Stars. I believe Strictly Come Dancing, the original version, and then that the name is like a joke.
Wait, can I guess what the Brucey bonus is?
Bonus? Go ahead.
So, is it after the judges give their scores, he can give a bonus?
I don't think so. It's literally just when he gives he it's not actually a formal part of the show. It's just a catchphrase of his about when he tells that I'll give you this one for a Brucey bonus, and then gives him a little compliment or something. It's just his thing. He's dead.
That's endearing.
He's dead now, thank God. He was on that show they kept him on that show way after he was too old for it. It felt mean. I did not watch that show, but any time that my family had it on, and I was like, he should not be on that fucking show, dude. he should be quietly retired. But yes, that's what Britain.
Yeah. Anyway, the email.
Shoot.
Gotta say it. And with that, the saga of the Planet Man Dan has drawn to a temporary close. I do need to actually show you that clip of the Planet Man Dan. I forgot to do that. I'm very glad to see how you've all grown to really like Ultraseven. As you may remember from a while ago, 7 is to this day one of the most popular shows and characters in the entire franchise, and it really overshadowed Ultraman for years. While Ultraman was certainly respected, 7 was by far, in a way, the face of the franchise golden boy for years after the show ended. I'm gonna tell you, 7 ends up being...
Of course. Not surprised.
If 7 ends up being your favorite Ultraman thing ever, people wouldn't think you were weird. With the show, he says, well, the show is not his overall favorite. It's definitely the upper echelon of Ultra shows, personally, and is objectively a solid show at least. It's any insurance not to overhype it, but Return of Ultraman is held in similar high regard for people who've actually watched it, so look forward to that.
Oh, nice. Fuck yeah. I needed to hear that.
Let's go.
I am so excited to start this goddamn show.
Please don't make me choose a fave and least fave aliens. That'll hurt my head. I mean, this order exists, but yeah, I guess.
You are forgiven.
Fishing 2 buns is
your contributions. You are allowed a reprieve.
Mm-hmm. That said, alien pull clear. No.
when I was sat there.
I knew even before I started, like, this has to... And you know what? So I had to do this order twice because my first one didn't save properly. I don't think Pole was the top my first time. I think it might have been Metron.
That's funny.
But I think this is truer to who I am as a person.
Naturally.
Yeah.
They said they already told this to me previously, but I hereby predict that when Razin finds out who directed the first episode of Returns, he will verbally go, "What the fuck?" Look forward to that next week. Because we'll find out.
That Blu-ray's still in the shrink wrap. I gotta crack that pupper open.
Yeah, my Blu-ray's right here. Let me. It's definitely not a copy of Psychopath
You know
the
what?
movie.
Yeah. What is it?
Okay, hold on.
He's opening it up.
Let me.
Oh, we're doing it early?
What the fuck? Yo! Let's go!
What the fuck?
Okay.
Are you keeping that a secret for next week?
I'm gonna keep it a secret.
Okay. Live reaction's pretty good. Okay.
I'm so fucking hyped to put this Blu-ray in now.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay, cool.
George Lucas. No.
Jerry Anderson? What?
Oh, damn.
Okay. Just last minute 7 facts before the show ends. The fake 7 robot from last week was made by just adding chip on top of the actual 7 suit used in the first half of the show that got into damage.
Definitely looked like it.
The episode spawned out and wanted to use the suit for something before the show ended rather than come up with the episode concept itself first. They must also say when the Kaiju Kaiju counter was introduced, I was trying my damnedest in all these intervals to not spill how you're only use it for a total of 7 times. I was laughing how when I first brought up how low was used.
Oh my god, episode 1 of our Ultra 7 coverage, the ambition about the Capsule Kaiju gotta be the funniest thing in the world.
Time for regularly scheduled and our Ultra shows. As you can imagine, there have been many tribute and callback episodes to 7 already through the years, including ones we saw alongside 7 and Blazer.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
Right.
What would your ideal 7 tribute or sequel continuation episode concept be?
Oh.
I don't know why this is the first thing that came to my brain. I want to check in on the creepy couple that were terrorized by the alien under their house.
Oh, they're after the plans, my dear, but I've sewn them into your dress.
I'm scrolling through now. I think actually I would not mind a follow-up to the Nightmare on Planet Number 4 with the place that Dan and Silga went to. I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that again.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Didn't even really, like, fix anything there. They could still attack.
No, they just escaped.
What do I want? It's weird because, like, the finality of it is, like, pretty good. But if I had to add another episode into like the middle, like retroactively, Ultra 7 meets Ultraman.
That's gonna happen. That has to happen,
it has
right?
to happen, but it won't happen in the way I want it to happen, which is I want them to meet just like... I want Hayata and Dan to just, like, meet, like, at a bar and, like, talk around the fact that they're both Ultramen. And then, I want Dan to feel really bad about all the people that die in his line of work, and Hayata to just be like, hey, it happens.
See, I would love that, but then Jun is also at the bar investigating some bullshit, and he's like, something's fucking weird with these two guys, and then he starts a bar fight with them, because that's what he would do.
Jun's still out there. He's still on the hunt.
He's still looking for Pegula.
I feel also similar to Red, like, my favorite episodes are the ones where there is a finality, so, like, I wouldn't necessarily want or care for, like, you know, as a priority, a Pegasa or non-malt sequel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one dinosaur tank coming back would be funny.
Yes.
But also, I want something with, like, the energy of the episode, or just, like...
Yes. Oh my god.
It doesn't even have to be a similar plot, but also character gets really into rally racing would be funny. And also, I think something like Dali, where they go back inside the body as a kaiju fight, would be cool again.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna say, Razin?
This is such a slam dunk, but an episode following up on the guy who teleported away and was never seen.
Oh my god!
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that would be fantastic. It's like some weird, like, cosmic
he just
shit.
plops up in the middle of Tokyo 30 years later.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Damn. I don't have the same answer that I had for what was my answer for Ultraman? I remember what my answer was for Ultra Q. I asked for racist shit. I specifically said we haven't had an episode that's weird about the pyramids. And then immediately the Alien of Parad happened. And I was like, I wasn't being serious. It had to happen, but yeah, I think there's not much more I want from Ultraseven. Did so much.
Yeah,
it did. I do legit. I know I brought this up all the time towards the end here, but the amount of times I would come on this fucking podcast and be like, "Well, I really wish this show explored this," and then
it did.
1 week or 2 weeks later, it just did the thing. I was like, "Fucking people agree with me making the show." Okay, it was incredible.
You know, maybe the thing is, our answers are all just like, maybe Guy I'd like could come back. Whereas with Ultraman, I feel like our answers were like, because the show wasn't very good.
Yeah.
We had answers.
Yeah.
Next question is, was there any one moment in the show that you really took note of, and even the point where you realized the show was a totally different beast from what came before? I think for me it was Pegasa, for sure.
Yeah.
Same. That is exactly the point where I'm like, this is a much more profound and deeper show that is much more... This will stick in my brain as something I think about for a much longer time in terms of actual storytelling. I couldn't tell you half of Ultraman episodes that happened. They just kind of happened to me and went through me, and I think about the Jisoji ones a lot, honestly, but aside from that, not much is sticking. I'm going to be thinking about a lot of the 7 stuff for quite a bit, I think, especially the back half.
The Pegasa episodes is absolutely the, like, first time. Well, you know what? Episode 1. Dan Moriboshi sitting on top of the car, being a guy.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Being a character that Hayata...
Yeah, having
yes.
Asterisk was not.
Having fun, being mischievous. Yeah, but Pegasa, obviously, like, the big one, the big early one. That's like, oh, shit, this is different, because, you know, Ultraman, it would be like, well, what a shame we had to destroy the Pegasa, but in this one, it's like, you know, Dan, like, weeping, begging. It's like, you have to believe us.
I do think it's really funny how episode 7, which is about, like, the escaped killer alien, is stuck between the Marked Town and Dark Zone, 2 of the greatest episodes of television I've ever seen. That's really funny. I don't even dislike that episode as much as I think you two did, but, like, I mean, it's...
I think we got worse episodes later in the show, to be honest.
Did.
Cross is probably fine.
Ide dies. Not Ide. Ippei dies. Ide dies in a different episode.
Yeah.
Muramatsu, the only...
Do we like the music?
Do we like the music?
Finish.
Muramatsu, the only guy from the old shows that turns up that doesn't die. Oh, no, Jun. Never mind. June also is fine.
Yeah.
Never mind.
He has a career now.
Yeah.
Music.
Let me think. I feel like there is probably music in this show I like. I don't notice it that much.
I think it's probably like just a bit better.
Yeah.
We do have the one insert song. We use the outro that we like. But...
Yes, Come On 7 is a banger. The moment I heard it, I was like, okay, I am retiring the ending song bit because I am no longer just kind of bummed about the music that I have to put in.
Yeah.
But I think I believe it's Schumann. I believe you sent the clip of the music to me.
Yeah, Citrix sent me that earlier as well.
Yes,
so.
Robert Schumann, Allegro Affettuoso. I think the use of that in the final episode is fantastic. And I was just like, immediately it's just like a lot of like, bits of Evangelion and like Gunbusters just like make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how the music is in Return. Citrix was telling me that the music in Return is pretty cool. So
I still feel this is a critical blind spot for me in a bad way. I never pick up on the music stuff unless it's like really good or really bad in one direction, and I feel bad. I need to get better about that because it is something that does add a lot to these shows, and it just passes right by me. I don't know what it is.
I was to some degree a musician, but I'm not gonna blame anyone for not really picking up on the music in Ultraman and Ultra 7. It's kind of fairly rote kind of background stuff, and the times that you do notice it often is because it's jarring, is because like in that one like fantastic episode of Ultra 7, but when he kills Geron, they shouldn't be playing the victorious music.
it is funny that they don't play that for Dinosaur Tank.
Dinosaur Tank.
Well, that's a somber moment.
You got to take this seriously. But yeah.
Yeah, nobody should listen to my music opinions. I listen to Coheed and Cambria.
Oh, okay. God.
I need mayo.
I have never listened to Coheed and Cambria. I refuse to. No,
Oh,
here's
you
the thing.
should.
Here's the thing. I'm good with not having an opinion. I'm happy.
Oh, I need to ruin your life so bad.
No, you know what? I'm alright.
We don't need corruption arcs on this podcast.
Oh, we've already had one. I'm reading more 40k novels.
I'm still picking my way through Thunderbirds.
That's not corruption.
Actually, I don't know if that's redemption. Salvation.
This truly is a Catholic podcast.
Do you guys think this show is held up better in comparison to other sci-fi of this era, as I've seen others claim?
What year was Ultraseven again?
67.
I don't necessarily... I mean, this is partially just maybe me not having experienced a ton from this time.
I have blind spots. Like, I can't comment on Star Trek or Lost in Space. Or
I am going back...
Or Thunderbirds, for that matter.
I am going back and seeing what sort of era we're talking about.
I don't necessarily... Because, like, I mean, I'm a big fan of The Twilight Zone, which isn't necessarily as deep specifically sci-fi, but definitely has that, like, vibe to it. And that is more of an anthology thing, and if anything, is much more closer to, like, Ultra Q. I don't really feel like this is any worse aged or like, more relevant, or, like, this is just very of the time in a way that I think is okay. Like, I don't know, I don't really lean one way or the other on this.
I think it's good.
The ones that I have here are Doctor Who and Star Trek: The Original Series. What era was 67 of Doctor Who?
Actually, what year was Outer Limits? Because that's one I've seen a bit of. That was 60. Or wait, oh no, sorry, this was 63. Okay, so about the time.
So 67. So we're into the second Doctor in which I haven't seen any of. So never mind. So I don't know how Doctor Who holds up from that era.
We're too millennial for this.
I will say a lot of those second Doctor episodes are lost.
Yeah, I can't imagine being a Doctor Who fan because I would die at the fact that some episodes are just lost media.
Yeah. Star Trek, the original series, it varies from episode to episode how much it holds up. When Star Trek is fantastic, Star Trek is fantastic. I suppose, what do we mean by holds up, I guess, is like, I think the effects in Star Trek are, like, I think the sets in Star Trek are amazing. I think there's a little more consistency in the quality of... It's difficult to say, but I feel like original Star Trek is a show that looks very good. But you know, there is variety between episodes. There's variety between seasons. I think a lot of people generally think that like the first season's maybe where the good stuff is. That might be, I might be entirely making that up, but I feel like that's a vibe I've got.
See, I think we took a very different approach to this, because when I think of holds up in terms of science fiction particularly, my brain went less so the effects and things and like the look, and I went like social commentary and like the speculative side of things. The speculative
side of like Star Trek is like, the problem with that is that it's still here. Is still happening. It's like Star Trek is to some extent kind of unchanged. So I guess you can determine just like, I say it's unchanged. It's not. It's absolutely not unchanged. There's a ridiculous thing to say. But the core stuff is kind of still there. So like, Star Trek still has juice. Depending on which bit of Star Trek, modern Star Trek you're watching, from what I hear, there's some stuff that's dated about it and stuff that's not, right? Like, because it is deliberately quite forward thinking. A lot of people say it's like, oh, it's secretly like a communist society, but it's an empire. It's an expansionist empire. It's but also it's like there is like a really clumsy episode about racism, right? Where like there's like characters where like one half of their face is black and one half of their face is white, and then other characters it's the other way around. That's like an episode about, racism is so stupid, and it's like, well, okay, this is 1960s level stuff. I don't know what UFO's like. I haven't actually watched UFO, so I couldn't tell you what UFO's like. Doctor Who, I doubt has aged well at all because it's British.
But Thunderbirds has, right?
They're not British, they're puppets.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's Thunderbirds is Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds is simply an old-timer.
I will never get over that little tidbit of the one episode I watched where the entire time I was waiting for a racist caricature man to show up because of how you describe Thunderbirds.
There is a racist caricature man. There are two racist caricature men, to be clear. One of them's a good brother and one of them's an evil brother. Or something like that. But yeah, I would say Ultraseven holds up, just in terms of like, I mean, there are ways that like it still has some of Ultraman's like just murderous streak, just for some reason.
We had a counter.
Yeah.
And
7 now.
Yeah. Oh, did we make it to 7?
Yes.
Perfect.
If we count the people.
Beautiful.
If we count Paris.
If we count Paris. I can't believe AG Tsuburaya let them destroy Paris.
The shattering of the firmament happened in Ultra 7. If we're continuing with the Paris headcanon of it's heaven, actually. These aliens invaded the heavens themselves in Ultra 7, and humanity had to fight
to be
back.
fair, I am counting it not just because it was Paris, but also because it was like 3 other cities, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Statue of Liberty shows up and I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, I don't. Ultra holds up means, as we've said, holds up means so many different things.
It means many different, and also I think it does also like relatively hold up, and I do think part of that is because ostensibly I know this was mostly a show that like had an adult audience in practice, but ostensibly they are making a show for children, so a lot of that stuff is going to be more broad and like parable-esque or just a lot broader messaging, and that rather than something more specific is going to be able to stand the test of time in terms of like relevancy and just feeling like a story that we as someone watching this in 2023 can latch onto and read into for discussions like this.
I have something. There is one way that, and I've been trying to find this in my brain, and I don't know why I didn't find it earlier. There is one thing about the vibe of Ultra 7 that I don't think holds up as well as some sci-fi of the era, if we're talking about Star Trek, right? And like, I mean, I guess I don't know what the second Doctor era Doctor Who was like, but Star Trek characters are classics. Like the whole crew of the original Enterprise is like classic for a reason. They're all very distinct characters, and I think Ultra 7 is a little lacking there in comparison. Like, we've got guys, but it's not at the same level.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No, like
I think it's fair.
Like Kirk is Kirk, Spock is Spock, Bones is Bones, Sulu is Sulu, Chekhov is Chekhov.
There's a Star Trek guy
There's
named
a Star
Bones.
Trek guy called Dr. McCoy, and they call him Bones because he's the Doctor. He's
I should watch
Dr.
Star
McCoy
Trek.
is the it's like you hear about Kirk and Spock, but Dr. McCoy is the third guy.
Okay.
Star Trek's good.
Yeah. The last question is, why is Dinosaur Tank the greatest creation of all fiction?
You put a dinosaur. So here's right. Well, let's do some. So dinosaurs, cool. Like pretend you're a child for a second. I mean, obviously adults think dinosaurs are cool as well, but like, let's put yourself in the headspace of a child. Dinosaur, coolest thing in the world. Tank, also coolest thing in the world. Add them together. Wow.
Holy
Dynamite.
Yeah.
That is why Dinosaur Tank is the greatest thing that's ever been made.
So I say to round everything off, unless you can think of something else halfway through return, they're leaving us with Disco Ultra 7, a funkadelic track recorded in the late 70s by a group called Magical Spaceship, and it's 100% official, so I'll link that to you guys.
Oh my god. I might be tacking this on to the episode.
We have a lot of music to do for this episode.
We do.
We'll, I guess you have your work cut out for you for putting. Also, here's like the Planet Dan video that I didn't share last week from like the 7 dub, the theme song they rewrote.
Okay. I love this image.
Planet Man Dan.
Fuck. Okay. We know you by another name, the Planet Man Dan. So is he the Planet
don't.
Man?
They're always calling him this.
All right. Well.
And with that, they say, they wait our return coverage and hope you're ready for more essay emails.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cydric, sir. the
Thank you, as
semi-official
always.
fourth chair. Yeah. Well, I guess we're kind of at the end.
We're fucking done after recording for
Let's
almost
go.
4 hours.
I'm gonna
Our
go
longest
eat. I'm
episode.
gonna go eat Jollibee.
I need to eat too.
I have that sub waiting in my kitchen.
All right. Well, plugs. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at ultra_q. That is at ultra_QUEUE. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at gender_redacted. Mel.
Hi, you can follow me at GeekRounds on the different places. We have the email ultaqpod@gmail.com. We have the YouTube page, unless you listen to this on YouTube. Ultra Fund is the coffee for funding subtitles. We're making our way through the shows, so hopefully we can get the stuff that isn't sub before we get to them. Raz.
Yeah, I'm everywhere at Rasenbran. That's RASENBRAN. I've been using Blue Sky more, honestly, trying to
I use Blue Sky frequently to myself.
trying to get a little bit more stuff on there, so I'm not just always on Twitter, because I still my brain defaults to it. Yeah, I hope by the time you're listening to this, I hope you all enjoyed our little Halloween special.
Red hasn't seen it yet.
Spooktacular.
Doesn't know what it is.
I
yet.
have no idea what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
That's something.
Yeah.
It'll be on Halloween, so you'll see and enjoy
Yeah.
with everyone else.
When you first mentioned it, I was like, "Is this something I forgot about?" I feel bad. I just don't know. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, don't look at Audacity. The number is making me sad. Thank you for listening. Yeah, well see you next time for 3 episodes
For Return of Ultraman.
The Return of Ultraman
The return.
next week.
And then the Ultra Fight thing the week after.
Yes.
Because weirdness. But yeah.
The week after will be Ultra Fight, and it is all part of the grand plan. It is what it is. All right.
Listen, we watched an Ultraman first, it's fine.
Yeah. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Goodbye, everyone.
Later.
君にも見えるウルトラの星遠く離れて地球に一人大事に使命をかけて燃える街にあとわずか届く叫びを耳にして帰ってきたぞ帰ってきたぞウルトラマン十字を組んで狙った敵は必殺技の贈り物大地を飛んで流星パンチ近くに立ってウルトラチョップ凶悪怪獣倒すため帰ってきたぞ帰ってきたぞウルトラマ炎の中に崩れる怪獣戦い進んで朝が来る遥か彼方に輝く星はあれがふるさとだ正義と平和を守るため帰ってきたぞ帰ってきたぞウル